FNTASIA, we're talking come Fortnite during the day. What is up? Obviously, the budget was cut, but we had to make amends. You know what I'm saying? We have an international guest. We got graphics to pay for by the second. But we're back. We're in the business. We found the funding. What is up, guys? It's episode 6 of FNTASIA. 6 FNCS is done, but before we get into that, we got people to introduce. It's the young co-hosts themselves, Ball TW, 11-2K, and obviously and hopefully I'm still Shyowager. What is up, boys? How are you doing?
Episode 7. I know you didn't get to uploading episode 6, but it is episode 7, and that did happen. Okay. But right. Yeah, I'm hyped, man. I'm excited. We got FNCS done. Well, we did. I didn't. You guys did, I guess. But I don't know. You were in there a little bit. You were in there a little bit. You had the watch parties going on. Yeah, it was a one watch party. The 2 watch parties. Week 1, EU, and then like last game EU.
Hey, you got the love. You got the love. But yeah, what else are we up to, Balla?
Just a lot of Valorant, a lot of VOD reviewing Valorant, a lot of watching Valorant, a lot of casting Valorant, a lot of playing Valorant. That's basically the whole gist right now. But been keeping my eye, obviously, on Fortnite. I did the event. That was cool. But
best event or
no, not even close. Okay. Not even close, man. I was like all by myself, like just chilling with the mans. I don't know who the Jonesy mans and whoever the hell the visitor guy. And yeah, it was not as fun, definitely, but it was still cool. I think it was really dope. Better than the last one for sure.
Mm-hmm. Cool. Levin, what about you, man? Valorant still? Obviously, also, Mr. FNCS analyst right now in the building.
The first time too. Let's go.
What can I say? Yeah, FNCS was cool. I feel you got to take a bit of a break. I've been sort of taking a step back. I think people know that I do other shit anyway. Like I'm playing like Football Manager and Valorant and shit anyway. But I think there's a lot to speak about. So I won't get into anything now. But I think most of all, thumbs up. I think I'm in a good mood when it comes to compared to Fortnite. And I think everyone should be.
Yeah, no, 100%. Brand new season, right? Still.
Of course.
I feel like every time I talk to you outside of FNTASIA or anywhere else, you're just like mumbling.
Yeah, like people say this to me. People are like, yo, Levin, like, on stream, you just have like all the energy. And I'm like, yeah, I'm saving it for the stream. Like off stream, I'm dead. I'm literally dead off stream. So yeah.
Oh,
I'm still offended you don't have me in your background, but whatever. It's fine.
So what picture I use?
Any man. Like, I'm just a handsome man, so you can just use anything.
You have a third frame. That's the third frame right on the top
Third
left.
frame.
There is actually a third frame. We should be able to squeeze you in there, like just see your chin in every single broadcast.
Yes. or because Sancho's coming out the side, I gotta come out from the bottom. I gotta be upside down.
Yeah, that makes sense.
But yeah, okay. FNCS wrapped up. Right. This is post. Obviously, no episodes during the business of the FNCS. It was busy times. Big apologies, but trying to make amends on that. Levin hit me with a look, but it is what it is. We're gonna move past that and talk about what went down. So, Baller wrote this down. I had the same idea in the shower. Was this the best FNCS of all time?
Yes, I think so. But granted, I didn't watch like half of it, but I still think it was the best. Why? Just everything leads to show that the viewership was back, the hype was back. We had really, really good formats for the most part, competitive. The prize pools were all the way back up. And to me, I just found that the narratives were really, really easy to follow, even for somebody not necessarily. I got to experience it from a real viewer's perspective for one of the first times, right? Not like a hardcore invested fan. And every time I tuned in, I did find something interesting to be excited about, which I thought was really, really cool. Plus all the top players were playing, and there was none of these like, this team. Well, there was, and we'll get into that, but like it just felt like all the top teams were there. It felt like we got some consistency, we got some carryover from the last season, and it was just really exciting overall.
Yeah, I think definitely the best FNCS we've had. Like Bala said, everything sort of points towards that, right? In terms of like the statistics that we're aware of. When you actually look at I think the fact that we actually had trios after, like we had a consistent sort of last season was trios, now trios again. I feel like that already is showing to like why that is so good, right? There's so many times when we were just easily able to draw things from last season and be able to use that to portray an image to the viewer, right? I always felt like the one issue we have in Fortnite is like, if you are someone like Bala, right, this season where like you're just sort of casually watching, not like hardcore, you don't know half of the people who are on your screen and you have no reason to give a crap about them whatsoever, right? So, you know, I think this season there was a bit of a better job of that.
Maybe I was still a little. I'm not necessarily that type of viewer because I still know all the players.
Of course.
Was it valid, Shio? Was it valid or was it bugging?
Everyone's asking that question. Listen, man, when it comes to bugging and valid, I want you guys to go to like squads or like season X and tell me one moment you remember from someone that was a caster doing something.
Wait, that was a caster doing something? Oh, okay. You're talking about like on screen.
Yeah, like on screen fun stuff. Like you know, like what's something that I'm trying to make people remember something. You know what I mean? Like something.
There was the
extra.
Mayo.
The Mayo. Who was that, by the way?
Shyowager.
That was Shyowager. Sick. Nice. What else was there?
There was you said season X and squads. So squads, to be fair, squads we did some good shit with the fucking like, what was it? Cloud. Cloud was a Cloud.
Okay, Cloud was a nice one. That was a nice one. Yeah.
There was some stuff during World Cup. There was some good bits, but that was World Cup. That was different times, man. That was different times. You're right.
It was different times.
You're right, man. No, I'm not throwing shade. I fucking loved it. I'm good.
I'm on the front line, man. You know what I'm saying? I gotta defend myself, guns, swords, shields, and all. But yeah, you know, Papa Bandage, that was sick too. Like caster calls wise, there's always been some cool stuff. But yeah, you know, focus on the FNCS.
Full on the defensive, like right away. He's like,
dude, I'm getting bombarded.
I was asking you a question.
No, this is Bell Bopper gets my gears turning, man, in the chat.
He gets everybody's gears turning.
Yeah, 100%.
For sure. All right, go ahead.
In terms of like second best FNCS, then like what is this comparing to? What was the best FNCS before this one? Like, what is the line we're trying to, you know, or what line did we surpass? Would be my question on that topic.
Was it duos? No, it was the last trios FNCS.
Was it?
Well, I guess Sark kind of ruined it, but I still enjoyed the shit out of that. Go ahead. Throw some ideas out there.
No, I was gonna say, like, looking back at Stark's bit, I think Last FNCS was really good. I actually think Squad FNCS was really good.
I loved Squads.
I think,
but it was not the best FNCS because there was no like nobody watched that shit. Like nobody. That's the issue, though. It was so good though. There were so many good. There was fucking like the farm. Look at the farm with Arab. Dude, NA was crazy. And then EU was lit too because Mongraal got second in that one with Benji and his squad. There was the Sweaty Sands fight. They left, bro. It was crazy. It was a lot of fun.
No, but you got to remember, Benji doesn't do well in grand finals, guys. So you know you can't say that he got second. Obviously, just making sure.
You're right. You're right.
Okay, yeah.
We got to keep pushing that.
Yeah.
I think Squads was really good, but like you said, no. I feel like people don't really remember Squads because not much people watched it. But like last time I hardcore watched NA, like Squads, I might have watched more NA Squads than EU that season because NA was just so juicy when it came to Squads. Squad Do FNCS was good, I guess. Do
FNCS was good because that was the time I think where it really felt like we were heading back in the real good direction because that was like coming off of a 6-month dry period of comp, pretty much. I don't know if it was 6 months, but
it was a long time.
That was lit. That was lit just because it was back, you know? It was back. And there were some good stories there too, but I think it was all diluted. Zayt and Saf won, Andalex and Nate won. They were good, but
the issue with that season was also kind of like meta was kind of bad in terms of like, you know, we were watching.
Still fine comp. I mean, like there was minigun.
Yeah, and like drum gun. Yeah,
but did they really have an impact on like grand finals? Probably not. The meta did suck though. You're right about that.
Yeah.
Solo FNCS sucked. Can we just say that? On the rankings, like on the rankings.
To be fair though, I did think Solo Invitational was a bit fun. I liked because it was a new concept.
I really like Solo Invitational because grand finals had so many good players, but when it came to grand finals, it was just so hard to follow. I think I had the same problem with FNCS solos. Was the weeks were really, really fun, but the grand finals itself just started to become like the same thing that we already saw. And we just had not the players that, well, in EU, we always had like the players that I thought would win. Not really, but it was Janice's upstart, right? But I don't know. That was also meta in both of those solos, so that's unfair.
No, but even in solos, like what you were talking about with the events, right? Like when you're playing a game by yourself, when you're following an individual player, it can get just boring and lonely. You know what I mean?
That's
like,
how I felt. Yeah.
Yeah. When you're putting yourself behind a team, like it's some good vibes, 100%. But past that, you know, biggest introduction to FNCS, I think it was the last FNCS, was reboot rounds, and I feel like this time with experience and how it went before, you know, with the broadcast also being, you know, in the business with the live spec and whatnot, it was insane. Like those are some of the most sweatiest. Like I was hard breathing without even casting watching those games. Like reboot round was done really well this FNCS.
Yeah, I think all around it was really good. I think, like you said, in terms of just being able to build hype from a broadcast perspective, being able to sort of watch that all unfold, cool. I think the way that to be fair though, I think NA was the best one just because the way that a game actually played out in NA, like, was what I always expected reboot round or thought it should be. Like, it goes off to heal off in other regions, right? And like, to me, like my philosophy on like the way the game should be played, it's like, you know, it's almost like in football, right? When you sit back and defend and you like play on the counter attack, you're like hoping the other team doesn't score, right? In like reboot round, you're playing for heal off, you're hoping the other guy doesn't have, you know, enough heals. Whereas like Zayt and Stretch, like they took the game by the scruff of the neck and they were like, yeah, we're gonna win this. I always thought that's how like reboot round should like be played out, and they did that and it worked. So hopefully like that'll kind of be the thing in the future where teams are trying to win the game rather than out heal to win the game. But all around, like reboot round was just amazing stuff.
I'm just really glad that the reboot rounds and just ideas like that get used and they get tried, and there's actually love for that shit. Like this is probably people will probably fight if this ever gets taken away. People are gonna fight so hard to be like, no, this was so cool. Like it's not even gonna be the players who are gonna do that. That's like the viewers are gonna be like, nah, that is lit. Like we need to keep this. Which I just find really cool. It's a great idea. I think though I do have an issue with the fact that it's going to take away from the like grand finals hype, but maybe I'm just wrong with that because clearly it wasn't. Like grand finals eclipsed the viewership of reboot rounds almost, like by 100K, 200K almost.
No, I thought that grand finals would not be as hype whatsoever, especially with the 2-day entire format. But then like when you actually start getting into it and the stories are building, the first day ends, you're like, damn, we have a whole second day of this. That's kind of insane. And then you get into that, like, that was really sick. That was really sick, 100%. But yeah, you know, 800,000 viewers, kind of nice. I already talked about it before. But you know, will it break records again? Probably yes.
Yes. In my opinion, the broadcast being fixed in terms of like lag and stuff, like I've always kind of said like that's not like it shouldn't be our focus as a community, but the fact that it's fixed is obviously great. Like it's so good because obviously people can just tune in. They're not going to be just turned off by the fact that like what they just dropped off of height. Like whoa, this is not pro play. Like these, I'm better than these guys, and I'm in champs. Like you know, so that's good. But I think just overall we are trending upwards in a way that we haven't seen before in terms of promotion, in terms of hype, in terms of the ecosystem support, like the viewing parties and the actual broadcasts that are being done third party wise too, like a Mars broadcast and like the Graf G and Suha did one as well. Like so good, man, so good. So it's just going up and up and up. I expect next FNCS to break 1 million easily.
We got 3 more.
Yeah, 3 more this year, right? Like when you look at it, right, you had a weekend with VCT, LEC, LCS, ESL, ETV, RLCS, BT, GBK, all the ECTs,
all the esports.
All the esports. And Fortnite peaked with the most viewership, 800K. Like, when you look at that in itself, it's like, we have, like, discovered, like, the most valuable, like, best thing. And it's like, it's not even, like, that refined. I feel like there's still so much to do, so much, like, to go. And we're at a point where it's like, flipping hell, like, this is crazy. I think like I said at the start, anybody should be excited about compared to Fortnite when you see this, because it just shows the potential that's there, you know. 800K viewers and all of a sudden FNTASIA's back. Clearly there's something there. Do you know what I mean? So
policies, dollar signs, you know what I'm saying?
No, but it's really good. It's really good.
All right, you're talking about excitement. With excitement, there's always sadness, though, right? You can't have one without the other. So for this FNCS, good, bad, and ugly is where we're going with this next little piece. Let's dive into what happened with some players. We'll start with the bad, so we can talk about some good after.
Let's hop between bad,
hop
good.
Between? You want okay?
Well, let's do the ugly last. The ugly is ugly, dog.
Yeah, ugly is ugly. Start with some bad. Mongraal Mitro. Not present, not in attendance for the class, no substitute teacher. What the heck, man?
They tried to get substitute teachers, bro. And they got laughed out of class, I guess.
Yeah. What's up with that?
It's really like, so the way I saw it is the game's really evolved. Like when you speak to a lot of EU players, especially like people at the top level are really looking to study the game, really looking to look at the finite, sort of intricacies of the game. That's one of the reasons why I'm so sad we can't like break down more end game stuff on the broadcast because of like timing and shit. Where like if you look at end games last season, so much goes into them, right? Where it is just it's a different level. The game's evolved. And the game sort of evolved without them. That's how I felt. The game sort of evolved without them. They couldn't sort of keep up, taking breaks, sort of not having that passion to really strive to improve and stay at the top. Like at the end of last season, people were ranking them as the second and third best players in the world for the most part, right? So to see that now, like they just couldn't evolve, they couldn't keep up. And unless you have that hunger to sort of improve right now at the top level of EU, you won't be able to keep up. All those guys are looking to study the game, and they like Mongraal repeatedly would say on to Benji and shit while playing, like, yeah, scrimming's boring though. Like, imagine playing all so like you're wasting 20 minutes just to play 6 minutes of endgame. Like, brother, you need to be in FNCS finals. You're the reigning champion. What are you talking about? You don't want to scrim. You know what I mean? So it was never gonna be good. I think this was always gonna happen, but I think this needed to happen because I'm hoping it's like the kick up the backside that they need. Dude, right? Like
this is the end of this arc, in my opinion, for Mitro. Brother, he did not qualify for FNCS Solos Invitational, did not qualify for FNCS Solos. I might be getting my facts wrong, but basically it's been a bad time. He qualified for, did he not? He didn't
qualify for World Cup, so he
did. Really? Well, okay. Anyways, that's even before the point because they had Season X and it was hype, right? Whatever. They were good. He was still good. Duo FNCS came, and then all of a sudden it's like, yeah, bro, I'm bored of this game. Like, I want a W key. I want a W key. I want a W key. But the best part about this game is winning, like hands down. So I think the fact that they didn't qualify a single time, bro, like they didn't make it out of first round in some cases. They didn't make it out of third round, second round, whatever, bro. They struggled. I hope that this is the final arc of this story for Mitro specifically. Mongraal he's been having his ups and downs and whatever, but Mitro is very close to being one of the GOATs in this game. Easy. And the past 3 seasons have been like, well, obviously last season he fucking won, but that was an element that I don't know, we just couldn't predict. But I still think that hindered him. And hopefully that this will be the end of this thing, and they'll come back swinging this season. And we got some points to talk about later for them, but it was bad this season. It was really bad.
I think one of the reasons is also like meta wise. I feel like Mitro, like because of Starks being a thing, thrives when there's a big power to just take in at the very start of the season. Right? They had retail also obviously thwarted in Season X, but like when you have big power to play off of, that type of confident, arrogant style works, right? Mm-hmm. But like when it's a season like this, where as Levin's saying, you need strategy, you need to be intricate. Yeah, it's not like you can land at Super Town and use your super gun to control the lobby, and they don't have it, right? That wasn't there last season. It was all about what you wanted to do, how you moved, and we saw the zones, man. The zones were absolutely insane for EU specifically on the entire map. No one really had an advantage. So like your POI did not matter. It was about the just rotations and how you played the game. And I feel like that's where, at least in the finals or in general, that specific player Mitro flips up a little bit. But yeah.
Yeah, and I like the fact you highlight Mitro because someone said it in chat, right? Mitro was always somebody being passionate about the game. Like Mitro was always one of the pros who, like, you could tell he loves Fortnite. Like he's sitting there doing challenges at like 3 a.m. on like a random day in the season because like he loves the game. And I think you guys know, like behind the scenes, obviously he says this publicly anyway, but behind the scenes, he really put it down to pumps. Like he was like, oh no pump, I can't play without pump. Like he's really sort of been on that. I have not been able to succeed because of pump. Obviously that's changed now. So if this isn't the season for him to turn things around, then I think he's in the mud.
It will be. It will be. I guarantee this. Pumps are back. You know, he's missing out on hundreds of thousands of dollars now because he's not playing because the top heavy prize pool. Like this will be it. And I feel that. I feel that for sure, especially with some of the news that we got yesterday. But we'll see. Look to the future. What's next?
Speaking of hundreds and thousands of dollars, the mans who ended up winning everything, some of the good out of the FNCS, Janice Hen Chapix, the best game 12/final game you could possibly ask for, albeit, you know, one disconnect here or there. It was
disconnect that almost decided the whole competition, right? Like, really, truly, if that disconnect doesn't happen, this whole thing could be different. We could be calling this Noah Riley reason the deal, the good or whatever. But I think
it's still good for them. Like that was still a good season for them. Like very good. 100%. I mean, to be fair, like they're still pretty fresh. Like in terms of upstarts in EU, right? Noah Riley reason the deal. That's a 2020 thing that happened, but it's not like Mongraal who was playing through 2019. It's not like neither of these guys qualified for World Cup, so they're still fresh, relatively fresh in my opinion.
Yeah.
Plus the if we had done a good, bad, and the ugly for last season, the ugly would have been that team of of them with Aqua. So it's a good switch. But specifically Janice Hen and Chapix, I love the fact that this team won, man. It just is a feel good story, man. He lost his dad. Janice specifically lost his dad last season, I'm pretty sure, or in between seasons, and dude, that is crazy to go through. That is for somebody that young, man. You know, I don't even have words to speak to it because thankfully I haven't had to deal with anything like that. But just for his memory, just for Janice and his family, man, to win that much money, to play in FNCS and do what he loves still and make it work for him is just so good. And to be the 2-time champion now, and he joins Tayson, who's a good friend of his or was at some point when they played in duos. Like that's got to be the probably the story of the year, man. For me. So well, it's only the beginning of the year, but for
I think it's
2020 and 2021, it will be hard to top for sure.
Yeah, I think it's hard to top. I think when you look at especially the situation he was coming out of, even outside of, you know, the personal battles he had, he was on the team that came second in FNCS. Right? He's playing with Anderlecht and Squeeze, who ended up doing well as well anyway, but he left the team that just came second. They were looking really strong. And he took a big sort of step. Like Helen and Chapix were looking good in DreamHacks. Their individual performances were looking good, but in terms of like a trio setting, relatively untested, right? And they come in and they literally don't come less than top 5 in any event they played the whole season.
Yeah. I was looking at Chapix's results. I was like, holy crap, man. All of a sudden, this guy's back, man.
It's
the Chapix and crew type thing where everyone's like, these are the best players. This is the best duo. Man, I'm so happy for them. Like, Hen has been grinding, Chapix has been grinding, but neither of them have had any of these big time results outside of Hen, right? Played really well in a bunch of Cash Cups and a bunch of, well, dude, Hen's trio last season was also one of the best going into it, and they completely fumbled, if I'm not mistaken. I don't remember where they placed, but it wasn't the expectation of almost first for them.
Yeah, I think with Putrick, it was when he was playing with Putrick and Deciptos, right? It was like people expected them to do well. And I think if you look at all three of those guys, the talent that is there, right? So I think there was a bit of disappointment there. The story, though, when it comes to Hen Chapix and Janice winning FNCS, is sort of like, it is just a thing of dreams. It's like it's magical because, like you said, you look at what Hen sort of had, and Hen has had really good performances, right? He had like the placing on NA DreamHack or whatever, NA Cash Cups there, Cash Cups in EU, but I still don't think he had that, you know, career sort of defining thing where you look back and you're like, oh crap, you know, like that's what they did. I think this might be the most dominant FNCS run of any team.
I think that might be unfair to say because this is the first time we have had like we've had this style, right? Because before we had qualifiers where they played, right? They didn't get to play any of the other qualifiers, so they didn't get to play week 2, week 3, and then they placed second in heats.
They won their heat.
They
didn't
heat.
Janice, Chapix, and Hen.
No.
They got like 4th or 2nd or 4th. I don't know. They didn't win their heat because I looked it up before the show.
It was Tayson that won that heat.
Yeah.
Tayson won that heat.
So Chad's saying 3rd question mark, so I'm pretty sure I was right in the middle.
So
Dude, it
reason why I
doesn't
say
even
that-
matter anyways because they staff High Sky and Commandment from squads. Like GG, it's over.
They didn't win FNTS though.
Oh, that's true. Fuck.
First,
First, and then didn't win FNCS. They got fourth. Oof.
But this is what I'm saying. I'm saying that in terms of like over the course of a season, because to me, I still don't think like that like is clicking in people's brain. In every event they played as a trio this season,
Oh,
they
you're
didn't
talking
do less than top 5. Yeah, like I'm saying in terms of in terms of the course of a season, there's no
But that's what I'm saying. Like it's not
emulate that
comparable to other
success?
seasons because other seasons had full like this is only there was
could
like
play
what
other
3
qualifiers
trios
in
in
other
FNCS.
seasons.
There's like
Yeah,
three. There was
so-
3 events for
What
them to
about,
play.
that is true. The difference for me though, the reason why I'm confident in saying that is just because I don't think that changes either way. I think like
Okay, that's fine.
I genuinely don't think that changes. I don't think if you play every other week, I don't think there's a scenario where they still don't emulate that sort of success. I think
I think that in some regards it's actually harder with the 12-game finals and stuff like that too.
yeah.
So
Stompy Chicken Encore question mark. I just had to double check their placements, but that's one trio that comes to mind in terms of domination.
did they
on the
win
region.
weeks before? I wasn't paying attention
They
to season.
won
X.
their heat, they won grand finals, and then their week they came third.
Mm.
I don't think-
third, first, third, second. Oh shit, I'm not
Anyways.
reading this right. Anyways,
Can I quickly say on that though? The only reason
Yeah.
why I wouldn't actually sort of consider that is just because if you look at that season, if you ask who was the most dominant, people will promote, like you say, MMB. Even though MMB didn't even win the finals,
Mhm.
like if you're talking about just the aspect of just like dominating your season, people wouldn't say Aqua Straight, they would say MMB. So I don't know, I wouldn't give it to them. But either way, like you said, Bala, it doesn't matter because everything else culminating together just makes what they did ridiculous.
when it comes to dominance though, like the dominance that we expected to happen but didn't. Had a cool, moment from it. I'm talking about Zayt Saf and Stretch specifically. Reboot round, that story was sick. But where were these guys? In a season where, the top 3 actually literally become kings and get to stay there for a season where, okay, now it's time to, no more excuses, oh, blah, blah, prize pool, blah, blah, this, that. Like, you want to win now, put everything pedal to the metal. The squad of squads, the people who are best at team modes, flop in a sense.
Apparently,
Yeah.
right? This is 2 seasons in
Like-
a row now where Zay Staff and Stretch like they're not all the way up at the top where you really expect them. I mean, last season was a little better, was it? I don't even know the results. I need to fucking look this shit up now.
Last season was better. It was better.
It was a little better. This season was not good, man. They just kept fighting off a spawn. They died on the sword. Like they're just like, let's just go for it. And that's not what I expect from them, man. I don't. I expect them to grind and try to find a spot like that where they can get it uncontested eventually, but they just were all over the place and they didn't do that as well. Obviously, it was harder this season, and that might be a reason why they kind of felt nerfed a little this season, but at the end of the day, grand finals comes around, you gotta place, you gotta do something, right? Whether that's going to another POI, whether that's going to Dirty Docks, like you kind of were planning, like they got to try to do something better than what they did, where they went into it and knew that it was just going to be bad. They know they're the kings of saying, yo, uncontested tournaments or uncontested spots win tournaments. So what's the point? Like, I don't know, man. It just feels like they should have done something. This was a bad FNCS for them. Bad. Not necessarily the worst thing ever, because they still won they won a game. Like, they still did pretty decent. They won the reboot round, so it's pretty hype for them. But still, man, you expect them to be first. And Zayt's not going to be happy about that after the retirement and being like, I just want to be the best. Like,
Yeah, that was the big thing. And like also on the topic of like, dropping somewhere like Hydro 16, it's like every season I've watched these guys dominate, it's been like a crazy stretch at Loot Lake or some like crazy control at Sweaty or somewhere else. It was just so surprising to just see them hold up in some random place from RPG. I don't even think they need that. You know what I mean? Like they're just so good at just being them. Every time they're on height, they never get retaken. They're just so good at the game. I just don't understand why. Obviously, I'm not, playing, I'm not in the trenches. Like that decision was made, and it's unfortunate. My question is, if they qualify through the regular heats, right, and then they have their performance in the finals that they just did, would they have a better FNCS than their run right now? I feel like them not qualifying for heats makes their run better because of the fact that they won reboot compared to how they just played during heats. Suppose they came like,
they were really close already.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like the reboot round is the only reason
that's a
people aren't
redemption.
completely, yeah, It's the only reason people aren't completely like just shitting on the trio in a sense.
Yeah, but it's more so of just how they won reboot round, because other teams that run heat regions, like people aren't looking at that in the same way looking at Zayt's stretch, right? It's more so like the manner in which they run it, like the sort of the understand, like that's why I'm saying like storylines generally build perception, right? Like they build perception. The storyline around them was like, you know, if you're gonna pick anybody in Fortnite history to just win you a game, Zayt's gonna be there. You know, like it's a story behind it that people are saying, can they win this one game to actually make it through? Whereas like with other people, it's just like, oh crap, reboot round, who's gonna be the one team? Where it was like everybody went into reboot round like, is Zayt gonna win it? That was the question with NA's reboot round. It was like, is Zayt gonna win it? With other people, it was like, who's gonna actually win it?
That's hilarious too, because there's so many good teams in the NA reboot round. Like there was so many good teams, but you're right. The narrative was like, is Zayt gonna win it? And it's like, is Zayt gonna prove that he's one of the best players of all time? So I actually had that down as a good from this season, was their reboot round performance, because it was so dominant. And compare NA East. You've already mentioned this, Levin. Compare NA East reboot round to every other region. Nobody had a reboot round like that. Nobody dominated on a height. Nobody claimed the lobby for themselves. They ended it with nobody in towards that final zone before it even closed. In a reboot round. In a reboot round. Like, are you kidding me? That shit was so hype. So good on them for that. But the FNCS itself was bad overall.
Yeah, I agree. I think when you look at like, you know, I would watch some of their weeks, right? And I'm like, I think they knew what their issues were, because there was a week where I watched specifically where they had games where they could have taken height, and any other season you'd be like, Zayt would take height here and they'd win out the game, and like they were trying to practice mid ground. I think they knew that like that was one of their big weaknesses, where if they're not playing height, they don't look like the world class trio they are on like mid or low. I also think with the RPG thing that you mentioned, Shayo, I think for them, specifically Zayt, I think the mentality probably is like, if I have RPG, the game just becomes so much more easy in terms of just the style in which I like to play. And I think they were willing to do whatever it took to like do that. I think they're sort of thinking, we can't afford for anybody else to have it, because it gives them the potential to ruin what it is we want to do. But yet still things didn't work out. It was really,
I don't know. They've played they played other seasons where teams get to have RPGs and they don't, you know, like, and they've played those seasons pretty well. Like, you know, they had experience playing against like some of the craziest shit, man, and not having control of it at some points. I guess Doom's Domain, they kind of had a reign on that, but like, you know, they've been explosive in the game before. True.
They've
like,
been in, but the argument, I think the argument is good. Like the only season I actually think about though, when it's actually the case, is Duo FNCS, where they went sweaty, but they still have the best POI in the game, other than the fact that Grotto has drum gun and grappler and all that stuff, and they don't have that. But squads, they had RPGs, because everybody had RPGs. Like literally everybody had green RPGs. So I don't think, maybe trios, and they did terrible in season X trios is what I'm saying. I think every single time they tried to play with the best that they could.
True.
Yeah. And
maybe just the respect from the region wasn't there, because usually it's leave them alone, right? We're not coming in. But now, like, especially with the way you qual and stuff through consistency, there's some teams that just don't give a fuck. Like they're just going in.
Well, also maybe last season had a big impact because they were getting bullied by taking Hart and Durant so much.
True. That was the first time like there was kind of a crack on the armor, right? Where one team's like, yeah, we're not. I was so surprised. It's like the third week and it's still happening. Like,
one of the things
crazy
is that like there was no really clear in this season, correct me if I'm wrong, but there was no really clear like God spot outside of like Hydra 17 because they had the RPG, right?
Sweaty was still like a king spot, so to speak.
And why weren't they there?
Like, I don't know, but it wasn't God.
Like
there was no
at
God
first it was
spot.
like Salty Towers. Everybody's like Salty Towers is the best spot, and then it's like Hunter's Haven because they got the Storm Scout and or Weeping Woods.
The two
and
locations
Cammy
were like
Split.
Craggy and Sweaty were like just strong spots to be in. But it's just strong. There was no, you're right, like God spot. This will win you the game. Clickbait YouTube title.
So
first
maybe
in
it's like,
FNCS.
maybe it's just the fact that there was none made it so that they were indecisive on where they wanted.
Yeah, if you going into the season, there was a.
You keep cutting out, Levin. Not like super often, but just randomly. You're just like I think it's when you get really far away from your mic.
Okay, my bad. I'll try to avoid that. What going into the season there wasn't really that. I think there was spots that people knew would be strong. I think over the course of the season, people realize certain spots were stronger, because I think if you actually look at it, the strong spots were dirty because you could upgrade, misty because you could get a lot of golds, which helped you with upgrade and whatnot. Like, so it was there, but not until sort of later in the season. And I think that's why they would have chose RPG, because RPG was the only sort of spot that there was a clear, visible advantage that that team gets, in which they're the only team that gets that guaranteed RPG, right? And I think, so I still think they tried to play to that sort of strength, but the nature of Hydra 16 and RPG it's not an OP spot like the way Stark was, or the way OG Risa was. It just gives you an RPG, exactly. So yeah, it was always, this was bound to happen, I think, if you look at it like setting up to the season, because there just wasn't that, and they've always been so effective with that. So
I wish they would go back to just like the chill, like risky Zayt Hill split type of shit. The loot lake, like you said, Shyle. I wish they would just go back to that, like chill, like, yeah, we know it's really good, but it's not like, oh my god, like this is the best thing ever, you know?
Yeah.
Like they chilled at Loot Lake during a lot of the times where there was other really good spots. Like there was the block in Season X, there was retail, and they were like, yeah, we're fine with this, like we're chilling.
I mean, to be fair, their split was like an insane amount of chests, but like,
yeah.
Regardless, you know, that's
what they were saying.
Yeah. There was no lootlake.info. It was just like, you know,
but people were just
there was still no notice. Really, wow, true. What about the team that, like, I still feel like is not getting talked about enough? Slacks, Acorn, Jack.
Hell yeah,
these guys just won. You know, I feel like every time they do something cool, it's like true. Anyways,
dude, here's the thing. They didn't get a winning moment like Janice had in Chapix. They just kind of they just won because they were good, but they got overshadowed by the wild card, man. They got overshadowed by Bucky, Mackwood, and Kanada's comeback. They deserve it, though. They deserve more praise. And this is the second time now in NA East where the team who wins gets fucking nothing. I mean, and to be fair, that's because we have really, really weird structures in terms of talking about stuff. And it's mostly we only talk about the people with tons of followers and huge achievements in the scene. But like, and that's just a problem with us in general. But they deserve more praise because Acorn and Jack, honestly, Acorn and Jack, outside of the fact that they didn't do like the best of the best in solos, compared to like Janice and Tayson, Acorn and Jack have had a very similar story. They started popping off in duos. They did really well in duos. They were probably the most winningest team in terms of victory royales, and they started getting recognition. But finally, they actually have that big winning moment, or not winning moment. They at least won the tournament, you know. But
the trophy.
So that's got to feel good, yeah.
I don't know. It's just rough because, like, you know, you talk about them coming up. Like Jack was like Cash Cup king. Like, it was so weird to see this guy. Every time I thought about Jack, I just thought fourth, 24/7, because like I always just thought this guy fourth or above in a Cash Cup, like minimum. So like it was just so sick, and they finally develop. I think it's just the winning moment. But like, if you try to get a winning moment format, do these guys still win? You know, and have first place in a sense, because then everyone changes the way they play. They're not winning the same format.
I'm not necessarily asking for that format here. I'm just saying.
I know. I'm just thinking, like,
he values their win, because how would I fix it? I would add a format, but like, I don't know.
I'm thinking in that sense, but yeah, it's unfortunate. Still, it was sick, and like I think it's just like the way people casually watch. It's always, you know, going to be based around the followers. If you're tuning in randomly and you don't see Jack on your screen, you're not going to be seeing them, you know, consistently come second, third, get a one-off victory royale. Everyone's watching the final game. I feel like FNCSs are defined by their final game, like just off of like Jack's win and Chapix's win. They're just, the entire region just gets defined as to who you're following and whatnot. For like, you know, a little bit of the off season on that final game for the casual audience.
Yeah, I think that makes sense though, right? Because it is like it's not. I don't actually think it was actually the peak of viewership when it comes to the FNCS, but it is sort of that peak moment, right, where everyone is focused on that. Like, regardless of if you've been following or not, you want to see what happens in the last game, just because it is just like the last opportunity, especially if you're going into it and it's not like NA West where like going into the last game you already knew who was going to win essentially. Like if you go into the last game and there's still sort of like fine margins, there's like reasoning to watch, right? Like going into NA East, there was still sort of those fine margins where it was like maybe, you know, Commandment, Sense of the Edge, you could pull away, get it after this game, you know, that kind of thing. So it just also makes it exciting. The issue is though that I think these guys probably have is there needs to be more, and I think this is probably like on some of the people in like the NAE scene. I don't know. I'm saying some of the people in the NAE scene. I should probably name people, but it's like there's nothing being hyped up about them, right? Like, you know, me and Reese on the broadcast, when it came to Janice and Chapix, can't even speak English. Like, we literally went on like a riff of like 10 minutes where we were just talking about shit specifically for how and why it was so exciting that they won, right? And it's like, if people are doing that same sort of thing in NAE,
careful, Evan. Nothing. It just sounds like you're all right. Go ahead, continue.
No. Hold on. But as a community, right? As a community as well in NAE and EU, that's what we did, right? People have been building that thing up for Hen, right? How long have people been saying like Hen is this next up and coming thing, blah blah blah?
Yes.
Chapix more recently, his performances, da da da. Whereas that's not happening in NAE as a whole. As a whole, I'm not trying to like call out anyone like you're trying to start beef, but I don't like that.
I'm just saying, man. People can take your words out of context. That's all I'm saying.
That's not a thing that's happening in NAE.
People take words out of context all the time, Levin. I'm just letting you know.
From my perspective. Do you understand? So
yeah, I got you. To be fair, like the last time I really was hyping, well, there was the moment in Heats where this trio last season was really getting a lot of props because they kept just like, what was it, like 22 kills win, 22 kills win, 22 kills win. They like won 5 out of 6 games or something like that in the Heat. And we didn't have an FNTASIA to talk about it, but Twitter was blowing up about it. Reddit was blowing up about it. That was last season, but it was in Heats. They didn't have that same sort of performance where it's going to be memorable. I think you guys are right about that sort of thing. But I also agree with you, Levin, that as a community, in NA East, I think we're focusing less on, I think, I don't know why, but it feels like we're slightly more influencer focused than EU. Maybe that's just because of NA's culture.
That's what I want to know. Though. Like in NA, I'm not like in the NA streets in the way I used to be like back in squad days, and I loved watching all the time. But it's like, what are people focusing on in NA? Why would you not be focusing on For me, from an NA perspective, I thought they were one of the more interesting teams because after what happened in DreamHack, where Zate sort of stomped on them with Benji, an EU player, I thought everybody should be watching. How are Acorn and Jack going to react to that in FNCS? Like, that's what I would have been, you know what I mean? Like, what are people talking about in NA? Like, why wasn't that more exciting in NA that they won?
I feel like because they're players first. And like when players turn into influencers, it's usually off of like a very good performance brought on a broadcast. You have interviews. Yeah. It's like, it's that type of atmosphere that turns players into influencers. But obviously, you know, with the way the game is structured and we're also online, we don't have that. Like, this was probably the moment where, you know, Acorn and Jack got a sick interview. And then regardless of what they say, that's where they have like a cool following.
There was a podcast or something that could have done this shit, like, and actually gotten some hype around there. I don't know. I wonder, maybe.
Possibly. It doesn't exist to me.
Maybe if there was some people who literally weren't No, I'm just kidding, guys. I'm included.
But does it have to be pushed through like a podcast? Because like even then, you know,
it has to be pushed by someone, bro.
Dude, it has to be on the
one of those
broadcast.
moments. It can't be one of those moments where we're sitting here saying, "Oh, we need interviews on the broadcast," or like just do like somebody just needs to do it. You know?
True.
At the end of the day, if it's not happening, something needs to. Yeah, it is a need.
No, I'm not saying like the broadcast needs to do it in a sense because they're still going to be fine without it. I'm just saying if there was an official way to push it, right? Like that would just be nicer. Like that would be sick.
G2?
It's not a need.
G2 Jack? Maybe G2 does something about, like, you know, just something like.
Listen, man, you already know how Fortnite orgs operate. We have a certain meme quota to put in per month, per week. We have to give them like 2 highlight videos, and we just leave them in their corner, man. You know, maybe the CEO replies to one of their tweets every other day. It is what it is. We don't go past that, baller. I mean, we have regulations. We have regulations.
I'm not getting signed anytime soon.
One more thing about this trio is that to me this is a redeeming moment finally for Slacks after the Storm Surge incident, and I think we have a taboo of not talking about the fact that they got banned, like the fact that they were gone for 60 days. I think, well, I personally don't, but that's because they've done their like they've just played legitly for a while now, and nobody's like. So, yeah, they got banned. And to me, there should have been a redemption arc. We should have been talking about the ban. We should have said, like, he's coming off of 60 days of not playing the game. He missed an entire season. Like, here it comes. And I think the only time, like, we had that sort of narrative at all, of course, Slacks probably doesn't want to talk about that at all. He doesn't want that to be a narrative, but that is where the community's head is going to go no matter what. So I think that this is that moment, finally. And that's been like a year now. Actually, it is almost a year since FNCS Duos.
You're exact, yeah. Wow.
Yeah, I feel like, but I feel like that's not even just an NA thing, because in the EU, nobody was talking about the fact that No Riley and Reason just didn't get to play last FNCS, and now they're actually showing what they could have done. You know, like nobody was talking about that until
that was just dumb.
No, but that was a good, like, especially since like it sort of wasn't their fault because Aqua was the one that got banned. That's like a good point to talk about. These guys look like they could have almost won FNCS last season.
I agree.
And they, because of circumstances out of their control.
Yeah, that's definitely not an NA thing. That's definitely not an NA thing. That's an overall, like, again, we continue to struggle with, even though this community is all about the storylines at this point. I wonder why, but like, you know, it's just like we're still struggling with it. We're still to this day struggling with these ideas, over and over and over. So, because it's hard, man. Like, granted, it is a BR with 100 players with 33 teams in grand finals, and God knows how many teams playing overall that should be paid attention to. You know, it's tough. It's a tough ask.
We talked about that final game as well. Mini note on just, you know, the topic of the regions defined by that final game. Rex Arkham Epic, you know, back to back. It should be super exciting and whatnot, but everyone is like resident sleepering NA West for some reason. When first of all, in terms of reboot rounds, that was my favorite one. Because it was that was like I think Jeffers' trio winning. That's when like it was a heel-off 1v1, and the people in the heel-off, like the teams, actually had something to do with each other's players. They actually got bombarded in a sense. Like, if you guys didn't watch the reboot round, basically it was Vert, extra Vert, his trio, who was like slated to win that round, the reboot round. They were the God team, coming in and winning, and he was like, I think, solo invitational champion as well, or solo FNCS champion. Yes. I don't know which one. But invitational, yeah. So he's slated to win through. Jeffers is on high ground with his trio, and when Vert is trying to heal off on low, FNCS. Okay, cool. When Vert's trying to win the heal off on low ground, Jeffers' trio actually finally, for the first time I think in the reboot round, successfully breaks through, finds him, and does some damage. And that lets Jeffers on height get his heal done, and then they have a beam fight at the end as well. That Jeffers wins. So that was sick. Like, I feel like that is the big, you know, down to the wire reboot round type beat. That's not just counting down the HP bar on a heal off.
I actually love that much more than the Zayt staff and stretch domination. Like, that was a cool moment, and it was hype. It is really cool, but to me, the EU one and the NA one, and the NA West one, were definitely more exciting. And pretty much any of the other ones, just because it was like, oh shit, who's actually gonna win? Whereas NA East, we were like, they got this in the bag. Like, god damn, they're just playing it.
I was thinking, like, someone do something. Like, please.
I was like, hello? Where's the bat signal on? Wait, like, fucking out of the season.
Yeah.
Because in the EU, they have heights, and everyone's just trying to.
Dude, it was like height.
I was losing my mind. I'm like, this team's on height now. This is crazy. And then at least I'm like, hello? Picking up like 7 cell phones. Like, man.
One of my points in terms of like the bad from the SFNCS was that all the heal-offs were trash in terms of like actual execution. EU's reboot was so hyped because the height takes and your calls, but bro, like, how are we scuffing? Like, Bro, we are messing up our heal-offs so badly. Like, we got cabbages and medkits, and like, hello, like this is season 4 stuff, bro. I used to do this in FMPL, like off the top of my head, like simple.
It's 8-tick zone. Bro, it's actually 8-tick zone.
It was dumb. Like, I was seeing people like munching floppers for 20 HP. Brother, you could have won the flipping thing. Like, relax. Like, just literally take a breath and look at your HP. Don't eat a flopper when you only need 6 white. Like, brother, just relax, chill. But it's good. I think it is like that is sort of exciting in that sense. I think overall though, like, do you think that when that team, how did that team then progress in finals? Like, what did they go on to do in finals? And did people care about them in that sense?
Maybe top 10, middle of the pack. They had like effects in gameplay, like they were targeting certain teams, but they weren't like a mega team to focus on, so to speak. And it's cool that you like rein it back in. Like, we'll close that reboot round point in a sense. They still, you know, it was fun to follow. They were a nice sprinkle on the ice cream, so to speak. But the actual scoop was like, you know, epic roll. The way these guys were just playing. First day was really bad. And like, man, it's just so confusing because storyline wise too, they play first day horribly, like horribly in a sense.
This is Epic Will and Arkham and stuff?
Epic Will, Arkham and Rex, yeah. don't have the best first day. Like they're somewhere in top 5, but the point
Like
disparity is
top 3 or
huge.
something, yeah.
Yeah.
No, it was even on after day 1, if I remember correctly. Like pretty close between first and second at least.
I gotta check it out.
Yeah,
but
look it up,
regardless, it's like it's basically like, you know, they're coming in. It can't be, even if they end up winning everything, it shouldn't be boring off of what happened in day 1.
I
This
agree.
is what 2-day finals are set to fix. But these madmen, 2-3 games in, just gained like an insane lead. And now I'm like, well, shit, man.
Classic.
Like, yeah, I'm like, couldn't you guys not wait one more game before doing this shit? And then now my DMs are like, oh, blah, blah, and a West, like, analysts is like, what are we gonna analyze? Dude, I don't know. Like, these guys are about to win. Like, it is what it is, you know. Like,
yeah, that's when you pull out the freaking drip check. Like, yeah,
that's
okay,
what
buddy.
I'm drip check, like, because there's nothing to fucking do. So it's like, yeah, like, I don't understand how they did it off of that specific storyline. And I'll check right now while you guys discuss, but yeah.
I think that people are not used to dominant trios yet in Fortnite. The fact that it is NA West, it's the last event. We just had literally 6 other regions to watch. I get it, man. We're burnt out. But I don't think that's a reason to shit on the region. Because in my opinion, some of those grand finals games in NA West are always like the best of the best and really, really fun. And there are, well, I don't know about trios. I haven't really watched the trios FNCS and NA West, but in general,
It's the
man,
same, bro.
winning team, it's the same. Like, it's good games.
It's 40R versus Epic
They're good
Will. Like,
games.
it's the same thing.
Like,
it's sick.
so
yeah.
good. And it's been that way since squads almost. Like the what was it, back to back to back by Kaizua's team? Like in squad. Oh my god, man. There's some really good stuff there. And I don't think it's bad Fortnite. Once you get to the grand finals level, I don't think it's bad Fortnite at all. Watching Heats is definitely a little boring, but in terms of like level of play, that doesn't mean that the game, like, bro, you can make and you can watch an event that is not necessarily the best of the best quality play, and it's still exciting. But NA West Grand Finals is not that. So it is exciting. And the pressure, people don't understand the pressure that Rex, Epic Whale, and Arkram have to be the best and to maintain their first place spot when they're not there on day 1. Bro, it's out of this world. It's insane. Like, they're about to lose their, like, everybody's gonna be like, oh my god, they're trashed and washed if they don't place first. Any other region's like, yeah, no, we don't need to place first. We're chilling. They have to place first, and they did it twice in a row. Like, come on, man.
It's gonna be 3 times 2 now, because we'll talk about it in a bit, but like, that's the fact that these top 3 teams, and this is, I think, a very good thing as well. It's in the good column. Move to the next FNCS. Like, you know, we talked about orgs for a sec. This is now the time, you know, that organizations have to do cool stuff, knowing that your team is basically in a franchise spot. You know what I mean? And it's guaranteed to be in the position where most of the eyes are looking at you when you're playing. It's just this whole practice thing, I think, is just weird. In a sense, I feel like these guys will still have scrims, will still have like the essence there. I'm not sure if they get thrown off not being able to play weeks entirely, but then again, like, I'm not in their boots, so.
Okay.
I'll hold up. New blog post.
So there's a new blog post. I'm looking at it. I already kind of skimmed it. I think we should talk about it after we talk about season 6 and stuff, because it's mostly about that. There is a new tournament announced. Well, not new. We kind of knew that this was going to come, but it has a little bit more details there. So I think it's best to talk about it after we finish this and get to the season 6 stuff. Does that make sense?
Sick.
Yeah.
Anything else to say for you guys on Rex, Arkram, Epic in general?
Levin, aren't you an NA West expert, brother?
What I will say is that I like that sort of aspects of it. That's the one thing that I really try to pay attention to this season with players, like when talking to players, like trying to gauge their expectation. Because like it's easy to just assume like everybody that goes into an FNCS finals is there like, I want to win. And I think of course you want to win, but it's like, speaking to people, like a lot of teams aren't going into the FNCS finals like, oh yeah, I want to get first place. A lot of them were just like, that I spoke to would be like, oh yeah, you know, if we were to get 7th, if we were to get 10th to 15th, around that range, like, you know, there was one trade I spoke to, they were like, there was one trade I spoke to genuinely where they were like,
name names, bro.
What are you talking about? Expectation? We're in the FNCS finals. What the fuck are you talking about? Expectation? We're in the finals. Like, that's a achievement, bro. I was like, cool. No, but I think that does exist. Like, and I think it's reasonable for that to exist where there's certain trios, right? Where like, if you look at the composition of the trio, you look at what they went through over the course of the season, specifically for FNCS, and you're like, yeah, the fact that they made it to FNCS finals you know, that's actually really good. Like I said it on stream the other day, like CR, I think that trio, the fact that they made it to FNTASIA finals is huge. Like Aqua's quit, Wolfie's gone to play with Saber the Lecce. They barely missed out, right? And CR sneaks in with 2 French players and they sort of make it through, like never played with each other, not much experience, that kind of thing with each other. And they made it through. Like I think there are some trios where just making it alone should be seen as a relatively good achievement. But with them, with Epic World and that specifically, the fact that like that expectation for them is just the standard of win, I think that's crazy. I think that's absolutely ridiculous. So props to them.
Yeah. Last line I'll leave with is this man made his own cup, won his own cup, and then won an FNCS.
The only influencer to do that, by the way.
Yeah. Biggest flex I've ever seen. Like to say, Epic Whale's coming into this game, winning his own cup, and he's currently in first place right now. 3 more games left.
That's sick.
Yeah, let's talk about the talks. All right, this is some of the tough stuff that rolled out in the FNCS, the ugly in a sense. First is just something really stupid, you know, Wrigley Sweets and that whole situation as well. I honestly think the stupider thing is the understanding of other communities and general communities of what happened to that team as well. Like, you know, the fact that one of your players does something dumb or does something like that, it should be on the team. First of all, I think that's more of the topic I wanted to discuss about this entire situation. It should be on the team to not let that happen, and it's valid that the team gets disqualified if it does happen.
Yes. Yeah, that's just unacceptable. Straight up, that somebody can do that, and we think that the team does not have a responsibility in that regard. But at the same time, you also have to think about like the mechanical aspects and the structures of the rules and stuff like that. Like this is how it works in this game. You can't just replace a player and say this is the same trio. It's not Valorant, man. You don't have a 5-man roster where you can replace one player and say this is still Sentinels. You know, like you can't do that in this game. So what else are you gonna do? But at the same time, man, we have like teams. You've got a responsibility to. Because this affects you all. If Wrigley tweets this, of course that's just going to affect you the next day. Even if he's just talking shit, even if he does something not bannable, he's still going to affect you the next day because you read his Twitter and you're like, yeah, okay, this is not what I expected, man. Like, and the vibes change. All this, you when you play any event, any team-based mode, the team is one unit. Like it's one. That goes for any team-based mode. That's how it's portrayed in movies. It's how it's portrayed in sports. That's just how it is in competitive spirit.
Yeah, and then some people in chat right now, in the general consensus, the excuse I always see for this topic is this team is for asleep, man. It's like it's. Do I come to you, Bala, when we're casting something? Do I tell you what I eat 24? I might actually, but like, do I tell you every mini moment like of my life while we're operating? Yo, I want to go open my door outside. Can I do that, bro? Is that okay with you? Like, I want to tweet this. Should I tweet that? Is okay with you? Like, if it's borderline shit, then yeah, discuss it with your team, right? But you're trioing with someone who has in the history of their Twitter, right, said some sus stuff. Like, you're signing up for this is what I'm trying to say, right? Like, it's and you shouldn't have to check in with your team 24/7. That's not the aspect, but it's like you're assuming that risk when you play with said player that's going to happen, and now it's a part of the rules, right? Like, you can't do that shit. So I don't know. It's something these guys should have known in hindsight. It's still unfortunate that it happened.
Yeah,
it's stupid because I wouldn't assume Wrigley would go that super far. You know
just
what I mean?
For context, some of the people who like don't know what we're talking about or whatever, Wrigley tweeted after heats or something like that, and they made grand finals if I'm not mistaken. He tweeted, he said he tweeted at Donald Mustard and said, "Go kill yourself," like something like that. So yeah, unacceptable.
This is crazy, man.
Yeah, I think it is just so foolish. You know, I like people ask me on my opinion.
After day one?
After day one, they were last place. Okay.
It's foolish. I think there needs to be more responsibility when it comes to, you know, understanding like a standard, like setting sort of a standard for your trio. Like and this is why I think the player development in Fortnite isn't really there in the sense of like, you know, it should be a no-brainer that this is dumb. Like, you shouldn't do this. And I feel bad for the people who are affected by this, right? Because, you know, the bottom line is there is a truth to the fact that you can't control your teammates in that sense, right? They could have warned him and told him all, and he still could have done it. But it's about like having that sort of culture within your like. There's certain things you just don't see certain people within their trios do, especially like when you see like. I love when I see a player like go to play with new people, and just the way they act in itself is sort of changed, right? Because you can see like the development there where they've grown or matured in whatever sense, right? And that needs to be something you're considering when you're playing with people, you're choosing who you commit to spend your time with, right? And that thought process wasn't there with them. Like Shai said, like there was signs that was capable. Like there were signs that he was capable of tweeting such a thing before, from time ago, right? So, and to be fair, there's with a lot of people in the community, but yeah, that is just something you need to. That is a problem. Yeah. I'm hoping though that this is just sort of like the warning that everyone sort of needed.
Yeah.
I hope that's all. I hope we look back on it and we just look back on it as like, oh yeah, it happened to them. They died for our sins, right? It happened to them, so it didn't happen to anyone else again. I'm hoping that's what comes of this. Will it? It's Fortnite, so probably not, but possible. So
I hope, man. It's just people have to understand, like their brand when they're playing the game also reflects on the game itself,
man,
right?
Fuck your brand, fuck their brand too, man. It affects our brand. Like the amount of esports shows that I've seen talk about this, man. Fucking Jake Sucky's all over it. The esports. What is it? The Bleep esports shows talking about it, man. I'm seeing like League of Legends casters, Farskurian, Avali May. They're talking about it later. They're like, oh, it's Fortnite. Don't touch that dumpster fire. Like it just sucks, man. Like it hurts everybody. It hurts every single player, caster, content creator, everybody. So please, man. Hopefully this is not gonna happen again. So hopefully it is a wake up call.
Bars. Past that. Other side of the coin, which has less to do with personal stuff, more so the technical aspect of the game. And the ugly is crashes. Big issues this season, just in general, that affected games, top names, and as Levin said earlier, possibly the whole shape and structure of EU and how we perceive the winners overall as well. Crashes, Benji crashing in what was this game 1 of the grand finals. We had Savage crashing, I believe also game 1 of the finals as well. And then past that, obviously the people who were in first place, ready to win, albeit in a bad position with the Storm, also crashed.
Well, no, who was it? Somebody crashed like at the very beginning of the game for that team.
Oh, true, on the rotation, so it kind of got screwed up. I think it was Noah Riley that crashed.
Yeah, it was.
And it was Reason of a Deal who were playing it out, who were in first. And then the biggest one, we can talk about all these, the biggest one for me, past, I think the grand final EU one is pretty big, is an entire heat of players. The FNCS for EU might have not even been the way we have it right now, because honestly, when I was looking back at it, there was like 5-6 top teams. I'm like, wait, what happened in EU, right? It's usually way thicker than this. I remembered an entire heat, right? The French internet service provider, we forget about this a little bit because the finals was sick, just went down sort of in terms of with Fortnite, like their relations.
Was it like 40 teams or like 50 players or something like that almost affected? Like it was a lot.
Yeah, but it's not enough per game to warrant a restart. So like all these guys crash, different teams make it up. If you go throughout the heats and just look at the list of who qual at what spot, you go to one of these heats, the top 10, it's just like, who Megalol? Like, what are these teams? And you notice all the big names are like, 15th to 30th. Yeah. And that was just huge.
Yeah, and it wasn't a good day to be French, was it? It was a really frustrating situation. I think that whole heat started off weird, right? Because there was the game 1 like sort of had like an issue already, so like there were signs that there was just not going to be an interesting or not going to be a good day for that heat, because like game 1 sort of messed up. They had to redo that.
It was already a bad omen.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. It was a bad omen. That's what I'm looking for. Okay, I want to play devil's advocate, because I think we all sort of have that like feeling of yeah, it's super unfortunate as it was, right?
Yeah.
But the devil's advocate side of it is like, that's something that's out of Epic's control completely. They have no information or control over when that could be fixed, or for all we know, like their internet could have just been out for like a week, and Epic have no control of that. So if you're in Epic's position, what can you do? Like, what can they do? That's the devil's advocate side of it, because I saw a lot of people getting really mad. If I'm those French players, I'm calling up my internet provider and it cost me potentially 100,000 grand. So, how are we going to sort that out? Where's the arrangement there? Because that's the thing. Like, I see a lot of streamers in the States, I'm pretty sure, who like set up agreements with their like internet providers. Like, I'm a streamer. If my internet goes down, you're going to cost me money. So we need some sort of compensation in place. Isn't that like a thing? Like, maybe like gamers need to start doing this now. That's just the devil advocate side of things. Like, maybe gamers should be like setting up agreements.
I'm no expert,
All right, go
but,
to law school, brother. Like, let's go. Let's set it up.
There has to be stuff like in your internet's contract where it's like, yeah, we're not liable. You know what I mean? Like, it has disruptions.
Yeah, 100%. Well, there's business lines and stuff like that do have, for sure, like issues like that where it's like you can't not be liable for a business's internet going down, like shit like that. I don't know. I agree with you, Levin. Like, it's a tough situation. I wish there was maybe a little bit more discussion and communication from Epic about it that says, hey, we understand this. Like, and they
had that. They
did, but I just, it just kind of felt like they were just shrugging it off. It's like, hey, this shit happens. Like, it's not our fault. Like, go somewhere else, like. I get that. I get that feeling. That's a very valid feeling from them. But, we're considering maybe having these games be played like in the late hours or something like that, off stream, no broadcast, whatever. I guess there wasn't even a broadcast for the seed, anyways. So.
No, this was.
This was the heat that was broadcasted. So yeah.
Well, yeah. So like. Yeah, like, we're considering this. We're monitoring, just like stuff that makes it feel like they feel the hurt, like, because it didn't feel like that. And again, that's not necessarily Epic's. I'm not saying this is badly handled by them at all. It's just an unfortunate circumstance. It is an ugly part of this FNCS, and it unfortunately it feels like the thing of this season that will taint the results, right? Is that specific thing. And then on top of that, we still have the thing that's tainting every result, which is game crashes. But like, those are two separate things. They have a responsibility to like fix that. But even then, man, what kind of solutions do they have that are actually worthwhile to them? I hope that the amount of viewership and the attention and the amount of players that they're getting playing competitive prove to them that they need to do something about that for competitive games and implement like a reconnect feature or something, right? But yeah, it's not easy. It's not easy. And we've discussed this so many times on many different podcasts. Like a reconnect feature doesn't even solve everything. How does that necessarily dude, it's complicated. There can't be pauses, there can't be game restarts, because as soon as you see the bus, the game is already like in progress, like, and you can't just restart it because some team already gets a good start. I don't know. It's really rough.
Yeah, everyone's also asking about like, do other games have this as much? Go to a broadcast for like, League or Valorant and look at every time they have a technical pause. You know what I mean? Like, other games have this. It's just it's a lot easier, as just said, because it's not a BR. It's 10 players in a server that can be paused. For League, they have the sickest system. You guys don't know about it. I think it's called Chrono Shift or something like that. Like, it's a
CS
time
has it too.
based. Oh, CS has it too. Yeah, they can literally just rewind time in the game to a picture perfect moment. They just have to find it because they have like save points. It's like playing a single player game. It's kind of cool. But yeah, it just takes a while to roll that back. Speaking of game mechanics in general, move on past the FNCS for now. We'll go into the nitty gritty of how the season is,
and then also bring up that post. Deep. We're going deep.
We're going. There's a lot to talk about. Season 6 is here, right? And the world is destabilizing fast. Thank you, Balti W. It's always fun to say. Always fun to say. Big changes, and it'll affect competition as well. We can start off just by summarizing them a little bit. I'll go with and put on the table the crafting and the hunting system. We can talk about it a little bit. If you guys don't know, haven't had a chance to play the season, or you're just a competitive follower of Fortnite, you don't get into the business with everything. Crafting, basically a new mechanic that's in the game. All guns have been changed. So now, out of chests, off spawn, you're usually finding makeshift weapons. They're like dog water version of real guns. The pump has like 2 bullets. There's no first shot accuracy. And then through crafting, you just press it in your inventory. If you have the materials required, you can upgrade it one of 2 ways. You can make a mechanical weapon, or you can make a primal weapon. Mechanical is just your regular AR, your regular pump. The primal is like some Far Cry variant that has no first shot accuracy but fires fast, does some damage. It's for the W key boys, right? Medium range, you're hitting the good shots. And the shotgun is a drum shotgun instead of a pump shotgun that's been buffed to the teeth, bro. This thing, I could kill Vidil in the same box on the same ping if I had a drum shotgun. No cap. I'm putting that out there. This thing is ridiculous. Maybe the mythic. But I'm just saying, bro. Maybe with the mythic, not the regular. It is crazy, bro. All I have to do is just go ho 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 and hold my left click. It's over. But yeah, those are the changes. Snipers have been vaulted as well. And there's a bow now. And the bow is literally a game of its own. Low key, I feel like the most important weapon of the season. You heard it here first. Come back to this episode in the grand finals. You can apparently make, like, I haven't seen it yet, but a grappler with it, stink bomb grenades. You can make explosives with it, like a bow where you get hit for 85 and then dynamite falls in your box and explodes. And you're hit for like 190. What? And a firebow as well, yeah. So
there's
a lot of cool shit.
But I don't know if that's in a
Shockwave has been removed, so we're getting to that. But
okay, but that is the general change. And I'll go over the last thing, which is how to get these materials, and we can talk about crafting after this. You can farm like skeletons, bones, and stuff like around the map that are just, you know, farmable stuff for materials, and they'll drop you bones. Or you can farm cars and, you know, little mech scraps you find about, you know, abandoned houses in your salty. They'll drop you mechanical parts. I call them scraps. And the last crafting component is frogs. If you kill frogs, they drop stink sacks, and you use those to craft the stuff for stink bows. Yeah, it's weird. But those are the three different things. The stink stack is not the biggest thing, but it's all about scraps or bones, and through those you get primal or you get mechanical. I should honestly make this a video. But yeah, that's
don't worry, it's happened like 15,000 times already.
It's already
the one that's not made on competitive twists, Resub has already gotten like the fucking animations going. He's got like, he's ready. He's about to pop that video out.
I'm just gonna go back to sleep then. But yeah, that is basically crafting. Now, gentlemen, thoughts.
So I hopped into Arena first day of the season. I stopped playing solo Arena towards the end of last season because my solo Arena experience was loot up. Some builder just comes and rapes. He just wrecks me, like completely gets rid of me.
Rex.
Completely destroys me, right? Like there's nothing I can do. Peace controls me to the ends of the earth. I can't control anything. then
as usual.
First game of the season, that guy comes along. He comes along. And he's excited. He's found Levin. He's thought, yeah, it's another day in the office, you know, chilling. He doesn't know I have the drum shotgun. Pops in my box. Done. He's finished. Gone. And me, that day, I said, yeah, this is my season. I'm fine. But on a serious note, what has to be done? That needs to be nerfed probably. I actually think this is the one season in a while where after the first week, people aren't saying competitive's ruined. Like after every season, it feels like everyone's just saying like, after the first week of every season, everyone's always just like bad. And I feel like this is one of the few seasons where we haven't had that. Like I don't really think people are in hysterics about the season. So I think that's a good sign.
I don't know. My Valorant Twitch chat tells me different, man. I don't know.
No, because I think some stuff, but it's not as ridiculous. What was it about last season? That was like horrible. What did they do? Was it Shockwaves still in the game? Yeah. Bouncers were still in the game, or crash pads? Was it that were still in the game?
No, crash pads were gone at the beginning of the season.
Crash pads were good.
That was last beginning. What was the bad thing about this season then?
Yeah, riffs.
Riffs were the things.
Oh, the riff fish. Yes. Okay.
And IO. Oh my god, we had so much actually.
There was a lot, but they got rid of the stuff. So that gives me confidence that they'll do that again.
That's the biggest part. No pump, but. Anyways, they changed.
These are cerebral problems with the season. So like, you know, the fact that, and this was the biggest kind of the twist to everything, because I feel like there's balance all around. For the mech scraps, right? For the weapons that everyone's used to, that I personally think are just stronger. You know, just being able to guarantee yourself a purple spaz off of spawn is insane. And just have an AR with first shot accuracy where other ones don't. It's just the mech scrap variant of upgrades. You can get mech scraps by actually farming out cars, like drivable cars and booted cars. And there's so many around them on the map. There's POIs that have an insane abundance of them. There's not really POIs that have an abundance of bones. And the bone variant of guns just does not compete with the mech scrap ones. So you're looking at things that, I'm seeing memes. I wish I could link them here, but the Spider-Man with the glasses meme, like Peter Parker puts on his glasses and it's blurry and he takes it off and like it's clear. It's like when he's putting them on, it's Stark Industries, he takes it off and like it's Junk Junction, bro, because that shit has got mech scraps out the wazoo. Like that is daddy's new home. Cammy split is now the Cammy God split in a sense, because you're guaranteeing yourself big guns. Like I just feel like there's going to be problems down the road in the season where certain POIs basically start to become things like, Season X Retail Row, Stark Industries, Doom's Domain, become too strong. And we've seen how that's
Is it because the upgrade
comp.
costs are like really, really cheap? And compared
it's 4 to upgrade per. And even though it seems cheap, getting 4 parts for 1 player, I think is doable, like per POI. Like I think you can upgrade maybe 3 or 4 guns.
So compare me a non-Lazy Lake POI to a I don't know, to Lazy Lake. Yeah, compare me that. How much?
So Lazy Lake, you're coming out with fully upgraded kits
all the way to gold.
All the way. You don't need gold, purple in a sense. Gold, I feel like you need like
purple. Yeah,
maybe even gold. So you get purple gold loadouts. All your team has first shot accuracy. All your team has purple spazzes or whatever. I don't even think you're going for drums at that point. You have purple spazzes, guns, and shields. Then you're landing at, let's say, Colossal Farms or whatever it's called now, right? Like you're coming out with possibly makeshift weapons still, like ARs. You're coming out with maybe drum shotguns. Like you don't have the option in some of these POIs to have a pump, to have a good pump out of there for every single person in your trio. And there might be someone coming out of a POI with a makeshift pump, praying that he'll find some scraps on rotation. And imagine if you get into a box fight. You know what I mean? Like you're rotating from retail. And like the issue with the crafting, in my opinion, I said this on Twitter as well, is the crafting should always offer you options on how to play the game, right? And those options should be readily available throughout the game. It'd be dope holding on to parts and a box fight starts to happen. Now maybe I'll upgrade to primal before it breaks down. I'm sticking with the drum shotgun, right? Or maybe I'm going all the way to end game. Okay, I want to play end game. I still have my makeshift. I've avoided everyone. Let's craft a pump and pop off, right? That's a cool option. Or hey, this game, I want to go primal and I'm letting them at POI. I can go primal. I want to go mechanical. Let's go mechanical. You can't do that. You have to structure your game around the upgrade. And that's the issue. That's the big issue with crafting this season.
Yeah, I think the thing is that like, I think they wanted to make it so that like, they want people to be crafting, right? They want people to be making use of this feature, but like they like want it to also like, they want it so that the makeshift weapons are still somewhat viable. The issue is that like they're not viable. You can't get away with using a makeshift against people who aren't using makeshift. Like, and I think I don't think we highlight this at the start. It's not like you only find makeshift loot, right? You could land somewhere and get a makeshift pump. The guy next to you's just picked up a regular, primal pump or primal shotgun, whatever, right? So in that sense, right, like there is that sort of disparity there where, you're somewhat screwed, right, to a degree. It's okay. Sorry. It's just stuff that needs to be worked on there. I think maybe like you buff makeshifts in a bit, like you said, Shayo. There needs to be options. Right now, it's not an option of this way or this way. It's I need to upgrade. Just which way do I go? It's not like I have a makeshift, but I'm feeling primal right now. Or I'm feeling just a regular pump. It's like I have a makeshift. How do I get rid of this as soon as possible? Right. Maybe that's what they want. Maybe that's what they want. I guess it's, they did add this whole feature for that, but same time, right now it does feel like they need to buff the makeshift stuff a bit to make it a bit more viable. I just don't think it's viable right now. Yeah,
because Allstars is a tragedy. Tim asked in the chat as well, why is it an issue that you don't have these options? It's because then you get stuck with makeshifts. Like, what's the point of making crafting even a thing if it's not supposed to be optional? Yeah, it's just adding extra steps where those early steps are horrible for the game. Like, imagine having 50%.
Hit me with that again. Horrible. Hit me that with again.
No, I'm just saying it's
hit the high notes.
It's straight up. It's just adding extra steps where the early steps don't feel good, and the early steps are already tragic in feeling when I'm dropping to my POI and my chest ain't there, dog. And now you're telling me you're putting dinner on half of my plate and the dinner's burnt. It's makeshift. It has 2 bullets. If you guys watched. My comms in a box fight is half your ammo's gone. Okay, now half your ammo's back. Okay, now all your ammo's gone. Reload. Okay, you have half your ammo back. Like, you know what I mean? Like, it's just, I don't feel like I don't feel like they off spawn the intricacies sick. Like I vibe with the crafting. It just has to be an optional system rather than just elongating the way you play the game right now and leaving you with that bad feeling even more. I guess the 50% chest spawn thing was also, one of the reasons it feels good to get all your chests. 100%. It's gonna feel good to get a pump shitting on kids who have makeshift weapons, right? But you're not gonna have that every time. Like that feeling will be there, here or there. And the bad player with the
so
pump
what's
is
the
still not
solution?
gonna win against
They need to
makeshift.
fine tune the crafting values, like make it more expensive.
Fine tune crafting values. You need to fine tune first shot, as Levin said, first shot accuracy on the makeshift weapons. Buff the pellets on the pump. We experimented with the charge, man. 3 wasn't enough with a charge, and apparently the makeshift pump reload time is even slower. So like we've had seasons before where we've done the grunt work and research as to what works. Just build around those in those thresholds of what works and what doesn't with the makeshift weapons. Because I just feel like in a battle royale, in Fortnite specifically, I guess in other BRs it's not like this. The coolest thing about Fortnite is no matter what weapons you have, you can make an end game and perform, right? On a certain amount of on a certain level. Obviously, you're not going to be sticking with a gray pump the whole time, but having a green pump in old metas, you can still go into end game and pop off with your skill. In Apex Legends, you can't just rock in with an alternator, no attachments, and try to pop off, right? You can't go into Realm Royale level 1 spells and try to fight people in spell break even with no upgrades. Damn, my knowledge is fucking like a well right now.
Dang.
Let's go.
Sheesh.
But it's like, Fortnite was the one game where it was your skill and your building that are prominent, and this kind of like puts all that kind of on the back seat, and at the same time like complicates the loophole. But yeah,
I don't think that's like the work. Like you're talking about like having this knowledge and stuff like that being very useful, like researching the routes and like, right? That's starting to take prominence over other things. Or I'm missing the point here with the spell break stuff.
Oh no, I was just like fat flexing the fact that I could know all that. That's what I was referencing there with the knowledge.
Fucking shy.
But
I thought this guy was getting into something next level. I was like, what?
I was like, what the hell's going on right now?
I'm just saying that like with those games, okay, if you want to go down there, I didn't realize that I made that connection. But it's like in those games, that's the essence of the game. Like finding the attachments. The game's kind of built around that. I don't think Fortnite's built around the beginning to end journey of upgrading your weapons. It's built around farming your materials, playing for position. You can't have a material game and a weapon game at the same time. I feel like it's just a bit too much.
I think that it's not. From just general perception of me hearing from about these things, like I haven't experimented with it in comp or I haven't watched scrims or anything yet. But like to me, it seems like we can have both those things because I think we already did with like gold and stuff last season. And sure, this is on another level, and sure, it has a lot more implications. But to me, this doesn't feel like I'm playing. I had this argument where I'm like, I'm not playing Fortnite anymore with zombies the first time. This doesn't feel like that. It feels like I could still play Fortnite at the same time as trying to do this new thing that is very Fortnite-y to me. But I don't know.
I think you can have that. I think you can have sort of like the weapon game and the material game. The issue is that yeah, I think the issue is right now is that it feels like there's a lot of places where you can get really good stuff out of like your loot and whatnot. Like there's a lot of places like on the first day I played Arena with Coach Harry and Reese, and it was like we'd go any corner of the map and it felt like as long as we just knew where to get it, we could just get really good stuff anyway. And in like a grand final setting, right? Like there's already this like disparity where if you look at NAEast and EU, all the top 5 teams are basically going to the same POIs. And if now you have a season where all the bottom feeder teams are even at a bigger disadvantage just because they're not going to be at positions where they can upgrade from their makeshift stuff, then it's like it's so top heavy, like it becomes so much more. And maybe that even encourages those the teams who are landing at the good POIs. Maybe it's like, counterproductive in that sense where now those teams are like, well, I'm sorry, I'm going to get makeshift stuff here on top of the bad positioning and storm surge I get from this POI. I would rather just contest 10 Janice and Chappiks at Craggy. You know, like maybe that's how like teams are thinking. Maybe that's what ends up happening as a result. But I don't think they're in a difficult position in terms of adjustments. I think they just maybe like you make it a bit more difficult, like in terms of it takes more gears, right? Maybe you balance it so that people are even in a tricky position where they're like, okay, we have a vehicle, which is going to be good for being able to rotate now. You know, good sand's gone, so that, you know, that sort of stuff is sort of out of the way now. So cars are going to be a really big mid-game rotation thing again. Do we break our car to get the gears, or do we keep it and rotate with it? You know, like give sort of people that choice, balance it so it gets to that position. If they can maybe do that, I think that might be cool. That's like a cool sort of thing to have. Eventually, pros would be like, yeah, it's not worth it. We take the car every time. But at least at first, you know, like, you know, you sort of have that thing. But I don't think they're too far away from getting a balance, right? I'm not. I think other than like nerfing certain things like that drum shotgun or whatever it is, I don't think they're too far away. I think things will be fine this season. It does still feel a bit too easy for the good teams because they just have god loot.
Let's talk about the post real quick on the topic of crafting. I haven't read it yet, so
skim. I'll basically go through it. Basically, we get, you know, congratulations to all our. By the way, guys, our producer wasn't here today, so I'm literally just running the show off of my normal setup. So we don't have like the fancy. Here's the thing we're looking at. You guys are gonna just have to visualize with us. Congratulations to our FNCS winners. Yada yada yada. We're looking at a little bit of stuff from competitive play, and mostly we're talking about preseason. Right, we do have the FNCS start date, April 22nd, and it is basically the same as last season. Well, not necessarily in terms of like format and stuff, which they're planning to announce soon, they say, and we get into the preseason stuff. So they've already done this. The Shockwave bow has been removed from competitive playlists, and you can't craft the explosive bow anymore. So It can still be found in the world, but yeah, I think they said that it's based off of prior feedback from season 5 already, so they just knew that this was already going to be a thing, which is really awesome. They already had a plan going into the season, like, okay, we're gonna give you guys this to start, but we know that we're probably going to take it out. So they've done that, and they also are fixing that quest bug thing where you can get quests in normal pubs or whatever, and bring those over into your custom game in finals and stuff like that. So they're fixing that next patch, hopefully. And other than that, they say this is still going to be 2 weeks of preseason, so we're still looking to make adjustments. So that's what we're talking about, right? Is what more adjustments? And sounds like consensus is fine-tune the crafting system, fine-tune the makeshift weapons, and things should be good, right? Maybe fine-tune some NPC locations and stuff like that, but overall, like, there's no broken items. Are there any broken items? I've heard something about a cuttlefish. Mythic
drum, and then there's stinks, basically.
We've gone back. Yeah. This should be a thing like from season 2 and 3. Oh no.
Stinks and the little fish that explode. What are they called?
Oh yeah, those are ridiculous, bro. Sticky fish, I think. Oh, is it cuddle true?
Yeah. Something needs to be done about those. But yeah, I think genuinely, I don't think in terms of like massive like meta changes,
unlimited
like,
stinks. Hold on, what am I seeing here?
Yeah,
somebody explain this. Unlimited stinks. Trophy says in chat. What?
Yeah, because you can get stink bows.
True. So like you can stink bows operate off of your arrow count, right?
I have not had a stink bow in game yet. So
I haven't either. But yeah, you can basically, instead of throwing your fish, if you just craft a bow, I think it's with the fish or with the sacks, you now have stinks based on your arrow count. Okay, max 30 arrows per player. You can have 90 stinks.
Oof.
Jesus Christ.
Yeah,
As I said,
that needs to be removed. Like, and that will get removed. Like, sure, maybe that's fun in some normal game, but no, come on, it will get removed. Like, let's be serious here. That's not. What do you mean? What do you mean? Like,
I don't know. I mean, we just had some adjustments. We know stinks are bad from previous seasons. They've been vaulted.
Last season, the last FNTASIA episode we had, I was on the other side where I was like, well, y'all motherfuckers, you know this shit ain't gonna get changed.
I think the next day, Iowa cards got removed. No, but it's like the reason I say no is because we should know stinks are bad off of previous seasons.
Yes.
We know shockwaves are bad and the explosions are bad, and they got removed. We've done the previous season bad removements, so to speak. This is a previous season bad removement.
Stinks didn't get removed in that season, in season 3 with the What are they called? I already forgot. Those NPCs that walked around, they threw stinks
Marauders?
at you. Marauders, yeah. They didn't get removed then.
They got lessened.
They
got
reduced
lessened.
the amount.
Yeah.
So
But
they know it's a problem. Dude, this is one thing that I believe that they won't mess up on.
Okay. I have faith too. And then also on that crafting note, once again, I think crafting is a good system, just needs the balance.
I'm not seeing people talk about.
What?
I don't feel like I've seen enough conversation about, in terms of the actual meta of what we saw last season at the highest level, how have things been affected now? The only time I've seen people mention it is now, like, people are thinking, oh, we're going to be using bows instead of snipers to get storm surge tags. That's the only thing I've seen people talk about.
Well, you can't craft the explosive bow anymore, so.
Well, it's not even about explosive bow. Like, I've seen pros be like, well,
that shit's
if
hard
I'm
to
just
hit,
that's my thing though. It is really hard. I don't think like a really viable
Thomas
thing.
H2 is already practicing right now.
Bro, Thomas is going to work, in terms of now there's no bouncers, right? Double bounce ring first moving was a big thing for some teams last season. Like in terms of sand tunneling, right? Mid-map teams, I think mid-map teams had it hard last season to the degree where it's like, you're thinking, yes, we're mid-map, all the tags. Someone's just sanding away, and it's a bit, it's a bit frustrating in that sense. So, mid-map may be a bit better this season for a lot of people who go there, I guess. Like, I've not seen many people talk about these sort of aspects of the new season, and I think it is going to be good, important. Right? Yeah.
In general, like most of those things that you're talking about sound pretty good to me. Like no mobility meta has always been fun, especially in large team modes. The fact that we can get tags in center map and center map strong again seems pretty good. Like overall, maybe the fact that there's really not outside of cars any like map mobility.
Or Troph just put it there. I forgot about this. Peppers. I'm seeing people have like a million.
Yeah, that
peppers.
Sounds cool. That sounds great. Peppers are dope.
I like peppers as movement, but if you're specifically getting a lot of peppers from your POI specifically, so like if you're only getting good movement because of your POI, I don't like that. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I don't like that. So if
now I revert to old Bala and I say, well,
He's
that's
back.
the game you're playing. We've been here, right? We've been here.
Yeah, but if peppers are gonna be the thing, then like I should be able to just either find peppers like.
Why can't you craft a pepper farm? Like, why didn't we think about this already?
Bro, we already have Rust. We don't need Stardew Valley as well, man.
Dude, we need
one
Stardew
game at
Valley.
a time.
That's the one time you get my wife to play.
Dude, imagine why is this team boxed up here? In their box, they're fucking like hoeing the ground, bro. Putting in peppers. No, don't pop the pepper, bro. We need to grow more. My bad, man.
Oh man.
My bad.
Get fish tanks.
Aquariums.
No.
Okay, the one thing we didn't talk about from the post.
Too many ideas.
Mid-year invitational. Champion. The last thing from the post. Hosting this event on June 23rd to 26th. April, May, June. Okay, so FNCS will be over by then.
Ooh, my birthday. Let's go.
Okay, what is that? 23rd?
25th.
25th. 2 days off. I was close. And it's an opportunity to earn the share of a 3 million prize pool. Correct me if I'm wrong, but
boys,
the last
I'm turning
FNCS.
30. Jesus Christ.
Grandpa. Bloody hell, Gramps. 30. Going off the rails for you, Bala. I'm sorry. Off the rails.
It's been going off the rails, Levin. It's been going off the rails.
True.
Anyways. So continue.
In terms of the prize pool distribution for this event, this season, correct me if I'm wrong, all the entire FNCS prizing across regions was 3 million. Just for the FNCS.
Didn't feel like that. It felt like 15 million. No? All right, you guys don't understand? All right, cool. Never mind. It's fine.
I feel so bad that I didn't get that now. Like that is
it
so
felt like
awkward.
15 million because we didn't have console FNCS and like half these dog shit weekly splits. It felt like we were playing World
shout out
Cup again.
console all the way to the grave.
I love you.
I
love you, console.
Hashtag bring back the console. You know what I'm saying? Yes,
Console,
sir.
we love you, console.
We love console, bro. Yo,
Mwah.
console in the business.
Love
all
console.
right.
Love it.
Love console. If they're taking money, the mid-year invitational, of the share of the 3 milli, that means that the prize pool should be technically lower for some regions this FNCS.
No. I don't think they're not taking a share of FNCS money. This is separate.
No, this is of the 3 million. I will read this word for word.
Okay, go for it.
Blah, 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 event 23rd to 26th to give the top Fortnite players a showcase to put their skills on full display for an opportunity to earn a share of the $3 million prize pool.
Yeah, the
$3 million prize pool for this event.
The event is $3 million?
That is implied. Yes. That is implied.
Are you sure about that?
Yes, I've never seen them just fucking be like, yeah, well, we know they didn't say anything about like total prize pool or anything here.
Okay. I'm
like,
just
this is I'm almost certain, but you know, you guys, whenever I post like my interpretation of a rule or something like that, everybody on Twitter is like, well, I read it this way. So, anyways,
let me fix it real quick. Okay. So they have a separate $3 million prize pool in the mid-year invitational. That is absolutely insane.
That's bonkers.
Yeah.
That's bonkers.
Cool. That's the whole FNCS prize pool. But for one tournament, solos apparently, and then, you know, the Creative World Cup is added to that as well. Which is sick.
I want to know what they do with that. If they have like Zone Wars tournaments and realistic 1v1s tournaments, I'm all for that. Like, I am all for that. If they have like hide and seek tournaments and that kind of shit, they're like, just give it a rest in it. But if they actually like do creative tournaments based on the actual creative modes that we play and people do that are like really fun and interesting, like, and I like to think they want to, because remember when we had like all those like 1v1 tournaments, like those were a test, and I think maybe this is what that sort of has. Remember when we had the 1v1 tournaments?
In between games?
No, like
Twitch rivals,
Bizzle
versus mobile.
You guys are trolling me. You remember this? The actual in-game box fighting tournaments that they had.
Yeah, the LTM. I just like hopped on and killed a bunch of bots. It was really easy.
Yeah. Those were like not amazing, but maybe this is what they've led to, right? Maybe like now, you know, we're actually gonna have something interesting, because with money on the line, those might get a bit more interesting, right? And especially if have you ever
watched a box fight tournament with money on the line, bro? It's the most boring thing I've ever watched in my life, bro. They're fucking like peanut butter at it. They're fucking like peanut butter at it.
That's
make a sandwich.
TW. That's what I said. I specifically said these two gamers. I said Zone Wars and realistic 1v1s. I don't say box fighting. I'm not a fan of box fighting.
Yes.
Right? I'm not a fan of box fighting.
I'm just saying. You do the same thing for realistic 1v1s. You add money on the line, and all of a sudden everybody's gonna be turtling out their ass.
It's intense.
No. Honestly, scratch that. Get rid of realistics. When I did the Guild 1v1 tournament, Hen TV playing realistic 1v1s. This is a charity event, guys. He's not getting any money.
I'm telling you.
This brother would drop to the bottom and like start farming brick on the map. And you're just thinking like, bruv, it's for charity, man. Allow it. But maybe Zone Wars. Zone Wars, I think, would be better.
It's going to be multiple modes.
Here is my thing with, hopefully it's, okay. My thing, it's probably multiple modes. I just don't think we've discovered the best creative mode to actually show off.
We had a broadcast of it.
What?
Search and destroy. Search and destroy, bro.
No, fuck, what? Just
search and destroy, man.
No, get out, man. Come on, bro. You can't even build. Like,
No.
I'm joking.
I know. You're just trying to trigger me. I know.
50-man Zone Wars Creative Cup.
Oh,
dude,
damn.
okay, no.
The coolest thing about all this, right? The two words we're missing right now is All-Star.
Yes.
Every other game, every other sport in existence fails at All-Star events, in my opinion.
What? Have you ever watched basketball, NBA? Like, hello?
Nah, man, they're not trying. They're not like,
bro,
they're not.
They literally fixed it, Shyo.
I haven't watched in a while. Let me have this take, man. Let me have this take.
You don't even watch the things, bro.
No. The world sucks at this shit, man. Deadass. League All-Star events are like whatever. But every time we're playing these All-Star events, there's always this excuse of, but it's just All-Stars. Like if someone fucks up or if one team wins, you can never have a proper conversation about it.
Okay.
There's $3 million on the line for this one, man. There's never anything on the line in other All-Star events. There's $3 million on the line for this one.
But the thing is, the difference is though, All-Star for most other things is like All-Star in the sense of like a selection of the best players from the top league. This is like an invitation, like it's All-Star in name, but it's not going to work the way other All-Stars work.
Okay.
The participation in the FNCS All-Star Showdown will be an invite basis only, like based on your performance in Chapter 5 or Chapter 2 Season 5 and Chapter 2 Season 6.
Yeah, but the thing is, the difference is in All-Star in real life, a lot of the time that's in substitute of a break. Like if the NBA All-Stars, if you're not invited to the NBA All-Stars, you're getting a holiday. NBA All-Stars, it's not like, other than maybe if you have a bonus in your contract specifically to say, oh, if you make it to the All-Stars, you get more money. The players aren't playing for money. Like they're playing for, it's like, it's a fun thing. This is an actual tournament where you are going to be playing for a lot of money.
I think that's his point, right?
That's my point.
Yeah, but that's not the same. So it's not going to be the same as other All-Stars. Like other
It's
All-Stars are
gonna be
poo.
better.
Other All-Stars are poo in real life.
You guys
No,
are
but
literally
I'm not-
agreeing in just different ways. Like just
Yeah,
this
all I'm saying is I just hate it when I'm walking to All-Stars and everyone's like, hee hee hoo, All-Stars is fun. I want blood, bro. I want to be in
but
there.
that's what it's
Like
gonna
these
be.
guys are trying their best. They're fucking shit talking. Like their legacies will be made in All-Stars. Like, you know, not just for the slam dunk competition. Like, you know, things will be referenced for time. Like that is what I want to see out of All-Stars. And that's gonna be sick with the Millie prize pool. And like, you know, just on the fact that the best players are gonna be invited. So
Oh yeah, okay. So we were arguing the same thing. I thought you were trying to say that it was gonna be all like lackadaisical, like a lot of real world All-Stars are. No, yeah, this is gonna be different because there's like money.
yeah.
Oh fucking hell, Barless.
I read it earlier in the chat too.
Oh fucking hell.
Yeah, I goofed.
Hey yo, that is so funny. That is actually world class. Okay.
I have
when it
VODs
comes
on to explain. I have VODs on, but my desktop audio to avoid DMCA does not go to the fucking to the VODs. So the VOD will be the VOD is gonna be me talking, and then you guys will talk, and there will be no audio.
Tune in tomorrow, guys, where we do the exact same episode again with the same lines.
No, I started recording about like 30 minutes ago, so we at least have like season
We have a little
6
bit.
onwards. Yeah.
Yeah.
But it was
that's
so
how they'll
good
be structured
before.
from now.
11, where'd it go?
man's just gonna be miming in the VOD. You're telling me I'm just gonna be a mime on the VOD? Like, just bear me all like watching.
We'll just put subtitles. We'll just like no. Okay, here's what we're gonna do. You guys are gonna get. We're gonna get you guys back in. You're gonna watch the VOD and just say what you said. Yeah.
Gotta hit the high note again. Oh
Okay.
god.
Okay. It's possible that that's not the case, but anyways, cool. So FNCS All-Star. The one thing that has similarities between this like three whatever like is the fact that we're doing like a 3-point contest in the form of Fortnite. I personally hope that it's kind of like that because I think that's cool where it shows off like a specific skill of Fortnite players. But
edit courses.
bro, it's
Edit courses, bro.
Here's the difficulty. Yeah, edit course would be sick, bro.
That
Like
would
that'd
be
be hype. Like the difficulty of that though is the fact that how do they do that, right? Because you obviously need 100 players already for the. You need 100 players, so what are they going to do? They're going to put 100 players in a bracket, or are they going to leave some out? Like, or are they going to make
sorry,
teams?
say again.
Maybe.
thing.
Oh no.
The skill groups will have 100% of the skill groups will have like random teams, and those teams can take home their money. And it'll be split.
But
No.
what you could do though is
No random teams. No random teams, please. No random teams.
okay, fair enough. Yeah.
Please. I've done the secret skirmish. I do not want this again. I don't want
Yeah.
Bizzle playing with whoever the hell he played with. Oh, he played with Saf. Never mind. That was
Yeah.
lit.
No, wasn't it Saf and Ronaldo? Oh, my bad.
Saf and Ronaldo. Yeah, it was Saf and Ronaldo.
I think by the point of like when it's, you know,
no random teams, please.
no, I feel like why wouldn't random teams work with the best of the best?
No, but do you know what I think you should do? Actually,
Because you're
for,
gonna put
the skill
like
games things.
Aqua with Benji and they hate each other, and that would be lit. That
Oh
would be
no,
lit.
wait. This actually makes sense for because the way you're gonna qualify is consistency through the seasons. In the FNCS, the FNCS is trios.
That's true.
So I guarantee you're gonna be seeing trios versus other trios. That's how they're invited,
let's
right?
Go.
Yeah. Like it'll be all-star trios, 3v3s.
let's
Yeah.
go.
And then the competition for everyone would be solos, which would be smart. The question is, I feel like there should be an ultimate reboot round for the invitational.
Now fuck this. There should be just one. No, I'm just kidding.
One game of the whole
Shyowager
festival. I
classic.
thought of it. That's a good format.
No, shut the hell up. Get out of
No,
here.
I'm saying coming into invitational, right? There's 99 players. So someone out of all the people who aren't invited, there should be one solo competition game Of all the consistent players, whoever wins that gets invited to the Invitational. The ultimate reboot round, bro. And we have 100 players. That'd be so sick. No one's liking it. All right, sick. All good, bro.
Pass.
All good.
Solos.
I think they should have it so that you're invited as a trio, right?
You are. That's 100% is going to be the wave.
Yeah, but I also think that I'm fine with it being a trio game. Then I think what you should do, since you're inviting off of trios, like for the creative stuff, right? Because like an 100-man edit calls type thing would be just messy. So you like select one person from your trio.
Yes.
Like you select him to be, he represents our trio for the edit
Something like
calls
that is a great idea. I also think that like probably it's fine to just say, okay, let's just select 16 people from this group of players, like have some expert or something or like whatever, or even like fan votes or whatever. These guys participate in the 3-point contest version of Fortnite.
Yeah,
you know, I don't think that'd be bad either. But anyways. Cool.
Awesome. This is for every region as well.
Oh, that actually sucks. I actually don't like that. The fact that you say that makes it so, because we're gonna have OC, we're gonna have Asia, we're gonna have EU, we're gonna have NA East, we're gonna have NA West, we're gonna have Middle East, we're gonna have Brazil. Like it's so much, man. Like it's cool for those regions, but it feels bad for those regions too because nobody pays attention. And I wanna, dude. If it was international, it'd be so sick. But of course, it can't be.
Also for like Asia and stuff, like it's just gonna be the same people in Grands invented the Invitational. LOL. But yeah, true. I wish that it's impossible right now. Maybe next year in 2 years, like this becomes like an international event, like mid-season.
The international?
Like a mid-seasonal invitational.
Oh, okay. I thought you were saying it's like the Dota 2 international.
Yeah,
I was like, what?
Bro.
That's World Cup for us, bro. Like, come on.
Yeah. No, but having an invitational, but it being like international, being
this
fun.
should be like
they're not against that, right? Wasn't that essentially what Secret Skirmish was? Like they just invited a bunch of the good players to have a bit of fun.
They're absolutely not against that, but they are against that right now.
Yeah, because right now there's actual risk of death, bro. Like chilling, you know what I'm saying? Like you're gonna get eliminated, no reboot, no lobby. Like you know, you're just chilling right now. So yeah. Cool. Yeah, that was the post. I think we talked about feedback for FNTASIA already. We talked about the preseason a little bit as well. Feedback maybe not, but the preseason stuff.
Yeah, we definitely did that.
Yeah. We haven't actually talked about this. So talked about the, how the FNTASIA went, the present for it. Talked a bit about the future of, how this one will look like. Let's talk about what happened though. That analogy is whatever, like the past. Fucking hell. Consistency. We kind of skimmed over it, but how is that looking? How do we feel about people qualifying for consistency, series points? How would we essentially change it? Yeah.
Because it's clearly an issue, right? I think everybody, especially if we're doing this thing where teams qual and can't play anymore, right? Yeah. So essentially, like, what do we think? Because Epic has stated, I'm pretty sure, in this post, basically, they're like, let's like, we're open to changing things about the format, about the structure of FNCS, and I'm expecting something to be different this season, like it has every season. But what is that going to be? I hope that series points either get significantly truncated, where we don't use it as much. We've talked about this before, but so we don't have to go too long on this. But they're either significantly truncated or they're significantly increased in meaning and value, and people actually understand, and there's a leaderboard on it that we don't have to go to Kinch Analytics Twitter to find. Like, like if it means something like, you get top 5 on the series point leaderboard after 3 weeks and you auto-qual the grands. Don't have to play heats. I think that's something that people actually would like, rather than this, like, I auto-qual the grands from last season, like, type thing, right?
Yeah. Here's the guidelines and the boundaries operating with all these changes, right? It has to be a max 6-week season.
Yes.
Every change I can think of just furthers the season. Might be good, but the way things are structuring out, with an invitational, with the breaks, it just has to be 6 weeks.
Yep.
So inside that atmosphere, what changes can be made? Obviously, having more qual spots, but it's already top 10 right now, or is it top 8?
It was top 10 this season.
Top 10 for the quals, right? Like we're talking about making that top 15. Or even more. At that point, is there even like a skill?
I want to reduce the amount of heats.
Want to reduce the amount of heats, but then what? Up the qual points or the qual slots?
We're not upping the qual
at all.
Yeah, but we have to up the qual slots if we get rid of consistency. But I think if we reduce the amount of heats to 2, or alternatively increase the amount of there's really, it's really annoying to think of. But basically, we reduce the amount of heats and we increase either the amount of people coming from actually qualing during the weeks or what. But we're significantly reducing the amount of people that need to come in, right? Down to 200 players rather than 400 players.
Oh, you're talking about okay, yeah, that would make sense with less heats too. Then true. That I think would work. It's also good because we get to watch every heat basically, like from the major regions. I think that's like one of the biggest issues is missing. Like, bro, we missed the best heat I think in the world. Yeah. In Heat 1 of EU. You know, so true. And then
that would make heats harder as well. Although it'll be like top 15 qual rather than it'll be weird. Yeah, rather than top 8. So that makes heats a little easier. Here's a possibility as well, and this could be done with the time frame. Reduce the amount of heats, but I don't know. I'm not necessarily double a limb, but another round in semifinals, like quarterfinals into semifinals. Because I want to keep that same. I want to keep the same stakes for the heats where it's top 8, where it's very difficult already, or even make it harder to get there, right? So like it's floating in my head that I want more heats with less qual spots, where that becomes really much more difficult as well. I don't know.
Yeah.
Here's the other thing, right? Like the reboot round's not going anywhere, so I feel like we're gonna be stuck with 4 heats because the reboot round's very successful. I don't think they're gonna be ditching the reboot round whatsoever.
No, I don't think so either. I don't think you ditch it. The reboot round is necessary in trios almost in like all situations because it's an odd, like that's what. It's really hard to divide by 3 out of out of like where you're supposed to be divided by 4 in a sense. But I guess top 16 fixes that. We still have a reboot round. If we have 2 heats, I'm just trying to keep everything inside the structure. But then it's like, so we'll still have 3, like with 6 weeks, right, and a bye week in between. We essentially have 5 weeks of play, 4 of them being the quals and the semifinals, and then the last one being the finals. In that system, where can you make change to have a better format and get rid of this ambiguous consistency? Yeah, I think that it is a tough problem. But I think there's ideas in terms of consistency where you literally are rewarding people for going for it, which I think helps with week to week performance. But I think reducing the amount of heats, making it so that there's less people coming in, so that we keep the same stakes during quals and keep the same stakes during heats, but we just have less people, is the play.
True. So it'd still be top 10 per qual. We'd have 30 teams coming in, like about a third of the lobby, and then the rest would all still be consistency.
So there'd be 33 consistency teams, or 36 consistency teams, or whatever it is, and what's the math? 30 teams come from quals. Wait, is it 30 or 40?
30, because there's 3 qual weeks.
3 qual weeks. Okay.
Yeah, and then total,
so we need 66
teams.
teams. So we need 36 teams from consistency.
So half consistency, half qual. That makes storylines like essentially kind of 50-50. Like you have 2 tracks as well. Because right now it's like primarily when we're looking at teams, like talking about did they qual, did they go through consistency? It seems like those qual teams are so few and like, there's like a very small spotlight on them, and every team has a story of, consistency coming in.
The other thing, you mentioned double limb, and I'm thinking about this right now. Like what happens if we do double, like basically we have 2 heats, okay? And we want to have the same amount of people in grand finals, obviously, but we want to make it harder even more than top 8. So you do top 4 from that, go to grands, and then the rest of people basically do like a reboot round, but it's actually another heat where another top 4 come from that, right? So you get 2 heats that converge into another one that it's like a double elim type thing. So you're basically running heats twice.
How's that broadcasted? How's that structured internationally?
Okay, yeah. So that's actually similar to what I was thinking when you were saying all that, Shyowager. I was thinking The qualified
you're
teams
completely cut out.
You completely cut out there.
Oh,
Yeah.
flipping it. You have the qualified teams, right? That come. I don't know why it's cutting out, so I'm sorry. I don't know what to do. Like, I'm guessing I'm close to my mic. Either way, yeah, you have the 30 teams that come through qualifying, 36 consistency. The 3 most consistent, you put in a heat with the qualified teams, then the consistency teams. So you have 2 heats of 33. The bottom half of the qualified heat moves on to drops down to lower bracket. The bottom half of the consistency team of that heat knocked out. Then the top half of the consistency heat versus the bottom half of the qualified heat. Then the best ones go through with, maybe you do something like that in that sense, right? And because you only have 2 heats, the 2 extra rounds would be just replacing the 2 heats we already missed. And so same, it would work time wise, but then how do you fit in a reboot round with that? Didn't think about that. It would,
well, dude, you can always fit in a reboot round by just like adjusting the amount, the numbers. Like it's really simple. You just adjust the numbers so that there's 1 team missing out or whatever it is going to be. Like it's possible. So we don't have to worry about that. But yeah, I think these are all. I don't know. I think I wish they mess with this because right now it definitely feels like heats are. It still feels like we have hype. We're really hype week 1. And this week 2, it's like, oh shit, this sucks. And then week 3, it's like, oh, this really sucks. And then heats come, and we're like, oh, we're kind of back. Who the fuck are all these people? And then we're like, oh, grand finals, yeah, let's go, and we're back up there finally. Yeah. But like, yeah, it feels like week 1 is way higher than heats, and then I don't know. The only reason heats is higher is because that's the last chance. But the games themselves are worse than week 1 potentially. Even
every
though
winner in the heats should just qual. Every winner of each game.
I'm not opposed to that. I think that's dope. Yeah, that's a cool idea. Makes winning important. Fuck yeah.
6 reboot rounds. Let's go. What are your take on quals? Ball of TW.
The qual weeks?
Yeah.
I didn't like how people weren't able to play. Like I always fantasize about that idea, but I just don't think that, like I said in the last FNTASIA podcast episode, which you guys have never heard if you didn't watch it live, because of fucking child.
He's never gonna give this up.
I'm not a fan of that simply because the tools are not there for these guys to actually replicate those environments. The tools are not there for them to scrim where. Like unless you have access to the top of the top, but even then it's not even good anymore because I don't know why, because it's just like really hard to continuously maintain that. EU has struggled with this forever, and that's why EU is definitely the worst region to watch during weeks this time because everybody's trolling around, which didn't make any sense anyways because you need to play to get practice, and they weren't even playing. But like,
is that so you don't get over the course of the whole round, but the last couple games of round 3, would it be? Yeah, the last couple games of round 3 emulate that top level of practice, right?
Yeah, that's
like,
true.
In certain round, like even in round 2, right? The last couple games of round 2 are going to emulate that high level practice because you have them as stat to the stat game. So as much as you don't get it, and people are like, oh, it doesn't even make sense because you're just trolling every week. So when did you ever get the practice? It's like, no, you got the practice.
That's why I think you need to make this matter for everybody. It doesn't matter. Like qual is good. Yes, everybody's hyped for qual. They need to qual, right? But if you know that you're qualling anyways, that's not useful. So you need something else for them. Yeah. If you're a team that knows you're going to qual no matter what, like even top 10, even getting top 10 is something that people can pretty much guarantee themselves if they know it and they have it in them. So those people need incentive because number 1, those are the people that everybody's watching anyways, right? And number 2, those are the people that really make these games hard. So they need incentive to be playing in those later weeks if they've already qualled or if they know they're going to qual. That's so crucial. If we don't have that, we need to let them play, and we need potentially even prizing. And I hate saying that, but like, if there's not going to be stakes for them, if there's not going to be rewards, if there's not going to be incentive, then of course they're not going to take it serious. It's just the nature of the beast.
Is it supposed to be the most exciting thing watching these quals?
Well, then why the hell are we playing customs? Yeah, it should be, of course. It should be, yeah. Well, it's FNCS. Of course it's going to be the most exciting thing. Like,
one thing I was thinking about is maybe having less games in the custom stage of quals.
No, because that's just RNG madness. That's the whole reason why we don't like low. That's the whole reason people like the 12 games or like more games.
No, but it'll just like it'll keep people in check in the sense of like maybe even if you qualify for finals, like the consistency, because you'll be placing in bottom 20.
Yeah, it's a good thought, but I just think the game has too much RNG that needs to be mitigated by multiple games.
Yeah.
Maybe I'm the other way on this. I think to some degree it needs to be somewhat exciting, especially since we're like broadcasting or whatever. But at the same time, it doesn't need to be like, you see how you did like the whole track of like week 1 of qualifier starts off here, then it goes down, then heats, it comes up here, then here. It doesn't. I don't think we need to be here or here. Like if qualifiers are here, then eventually we're building things up and we're using qualifiers to make things
in my
more
mind,
hype.
dude. It's an NBA season, right? The fucking NBA season gets hype until the last moment. But maybe it starts off hype and then it goes down in the middle and then it goes way back up. But that it should culminate to something. It shouldn't culminate to nothing. Right? It should culminate to something. Maybe I'm thinking about this wrong, and it's not like I shouldn't be comparing it to a league system or anything like that, where it's just a qualifying system, where obviously qualifying systems in general will make it so that eventually the good teams are there, and then later on the good teams are not there. But I don't know. It just feels really weird right now.
I'm thinking about like from a fighting games perspective, because that's also what I equate Fortnite to. Like the closest thing to is like a fighting game when it comes to the way brackets are set up. That's just how I look at it in terms of qualing. I don't know. I think about the FGC when I see Fortnite qual systems. It's like I understand it, like overall in fighting games, like you have to hit a certain threshold and then you're allowed to play inside a finals with that group. You have to hit top 8. You have to hit this, and yeah, they do it in a different way where it's like straight up single elim, double elim while you're going throughout the day. But for Fortnite, it's the same way, right? Like you play the uninteresting qual games until like a very hype moment in the quals where the team has to qual or your favorite player has to qual, and then you don't see them for a bit. You see them once you hit those finals. The coolest thing about that format is when we're finally filling in the top 8, right? When you're looking at who's going to be the 7th person rolling in, the 8th person rolling in, that's where the quals get really hype. Everyone knows the top players are going to make it 1, 2, 3 and whatnot. But like and still those guys are trying 24/7. There's definitely a gap that needs to be fixed, and like players having this freedom for some reason to just do whatever they want and not qual. But yeah, in terms of quick comp season feedback, real quick, unless you guys have any wrapping thoughts about.
Let's just go rapid thoughts until like maybe because we're 2 hours right now.
All right, rapid thoughts. What happened to solo cash cups, Bala?
Dude, it just felt like they were missing this season. I guess they were happening at the same time as FNCS, and I think. There were still trio cash cups, right? Am I like Mondays, right?
Levin, were they trio cash cups?
Yeah, they were trio cash cups on Monday. And the trio cash cups
I didn't pay attention to those at all.
Huh? No, the trio cash cups are in a good place. I don't know about the NA side of things, because for me, a lot of NA just seemed a bit weird. But EU side of things, trio cash cups, I think we're in a good place. It was like the good teams would do well. You could sort of track people's form, right? You could see how people's form was translating from FNCS qualifier week to trio cash cups. It allowed for interesting storylines being built, right? In terms of like just like seeing who was playing with who was doing well. They're doing well in cash cups, but they're not doing well in thing. In qualifier weeks, I think trio cash cups in a good place.
Was there success in unregion locking them? That was good, right?
For EU, yeah, we're making more money, right?
For anybody, I don't know.
What? EU players making more money, mate. Playing on NA. I think maybe that's why trio cash cups for NA felt awful, because it got to the point where I think like it was just EU teams doing well in them. So,
here's the thing: like, I'm actually happy not really hearing too much about trio cash cups or any cash cups in general.
I think they're in a good place. I think
I think the fact that to me it feels like they're de-incentivized is actually good, right? I still want them to be there. I want opportunities for people to compete, and obviously Epic makes a shit ton of money off of solo cash cups, but like, and the fact they put them on Saturday tells you that even more, because it's like everybody can play them at that point. But I don't mind it. To me, they should be cups that are anybody can play whenever they want. Like, you don't have to play every single one of them. It doesn't matter that much. Nobody's really looking at them for super big results, although I know that community is still really, really feeding on them in terms of PR and stuff. But to me, it felt like they were de-incentivized, and that was good. But they were still there, which was also good.
Cool. I think they're in a good spot. I think in terms of what you said with solo specifically, Bala, I think if we were to get something like a solo DreamHack, back then you'd have like a relatively bigger solo competition that people care about.
I think we need that too.
Yeah, whereas I think in general, cash cups are in a good place.
Yeah.
Arena though, no prizing, no cup. How is Arena this season compared to last season.
I've come to the conclusion that Arena is just a place for players who want Siphon to play.
Yeah.
with slightly better players. That's just what it is, and I'm happy with it, actually, to be honest.
Is there potential for it?
Potential for what? For it to become
Arena.
But potential for what? What do you want Arena to be?
Is it good? First off, is it good?
Is it good? It's good at certain things, yeah.
Yeah, I agree. It's not where I wanted it to be. When we were doing Hotline FN, I see Tim's in the chat. We were doing Hotline FN. My biggest ask was always Arena rework, Arena rework. Please give me ranked. Give me something. But the longer I play Arena, the more I realize that, like, I don't know if people actually want that, to be honest.
But that's the thing, though. Like, so I'm seeing people already in chat saying like Arena's not good. Arena should be competitive. Like, that's not what Arena is at this point. I think it's very Arena isn't a ranked system. That's not where it is. And if you accepted the fact that that's not where it is, I think you actually would look at Arena and be like, actually, yeah, to be fair, for what it is, it makes sense. It's just like
it's an easy thing to grind. Like they even reduce queue times like crazy. It's an easy thing to grind with Siphon, with players who are hopefully better than you might face in regular games. Like
Julio. Let's talk about the players for a sec, or just future and stuff. MMT, Mongraal, Mitro, Tayson, running it up again. Saw a screenshot of them at Sweaty Sands.
What the hell happened?
So, from my understanding, this is obviously frustrating for me because I was away all of yesterday, and this is obviously when this sort of happened.
Damn, what are you, like a beat reporter, motherfucker? Like, paparazzi's like, hold on, shit, they're playing. I gotta make 11 podcasts out of this.
It's crazy, but I think so. It was interesting because obviously Tayson, Savage, and iDrop playing. A lot of people had high hopes. I was one of the people who had really high hopes for them. And I do still think, like I said this, I do still think in terms of last season, the highest level of competitive Fortnite that I personally watched, I watched from that trio. Obviously, the result on the FNTASIA day wasn't there. Anybody that knew the ins and outs of that trio knew that there were chemistry issues there between sort of iDrop and Tayson, right? I made a meme about it, right? About BloodX trying to keep them together, being Spider-Man in the movie, trying to pull them together, and he couldn't, right? And so I think the result meant that there was likely to be a split
because he could pull that shit up.
He literally could have played it. It would have been so good. But yeah, it was expected. I think there were apparently rumors that like Tayson was trying to play with Chapix and Janice, right?
Oh, really?
Yeah, weird stuff, like crazy stuff I was hearing. But obviously, because they won FNTASIA, they're not splitting. And so if you look at,
I think you might have missed the fact that they got 1v3 by Mongraal yesterday, Janice and Chapix, and they're imploding right now. And as far as I understand, they are.
Nah, I think they'll be fine.
I think if
you get a free,
you cut out again.
Say that again. If you
get a free quota next final, assuming that the system doesn't change or whatever, like there's no reason you split. If you split, like I think that is just,
bro. I don't know, man. I know EU. I know EU. I've seen these guys.
Vibing,
man.
They're vibing. Okay, all right, fine. All right, whatever.
but and this is my thing though. The hysterics obviously there already because Tayson, Mongraal, and Mitro have had they've played scrims. They've had somewhat of a decent. We actually don't know if they had a good day of scrims because they didn't sign up for the leaderboard. So they're not on leaderboard. All we know is they 1v3 the FNTASIA champions. Mongraal did. That's all we know about how they did. Why do we always forget that with like all new trios, there's always a honeymoon period, right? Mm-hmm. This might just be their honeymoon period. They might be an awful.
Is there a honeymoon period with this team though? Because they've already won an FNCS. Like,
yeah, it's a different game. Mongraal and Mitro are different players in today's system of Fortnite. It's not like I think, and the same thing sort of happened at the start of last season, where when people MMB back, people sort of had that same mentality of like, yes, what needs to be done there? It's MMB, but it's a different game. The game's moved on. Do you know what I mean? The game's moved on. They're not the same.
It's different than that. I don't know.
But I think it's more deep rooted. For me, it was interesting because Tayson, when he split, said he was looking for somebody who was going to IGL, and so now in this tree, he's going to be in a situation where he's IGLing again.
He didn't say what he wanted the IGL for. He didn't say if it was the game or for his heart, bro. So you don't know, man. Sometimes the vibes. Sometimes the vibes, bro. Sometimes the vibes.
Yeah, maybe you're right.
You're on that Macwood deep late night.
yeah.
No, that man needs someone, man. I don't know what's going on that Twitter feed.
He needs help.
Sheesh. Okay. All right, so, I already have what's it called? We already have the next FNCS announced. That's huge. Has that happened in the past after an FNCS ends completely the exact date? I'm going to say no, just
This
for
is
show.
awesome. This is so sick.
This is cool. It's sick. We know the off-season time. It's kind of nice. Yeah. Just wanted to throw that out there.
It just proves that comp is at the head of their agenda right now. They are really caring about it, and they've seen to change something, and it feels good.
There are 3 more of these, once again, happening this year. 3 more. We're just going to go to our second one, and this is Invitational. Kind of sick. Thing, though, for all of these 4 that connects them in the Fortnite cinematic universe of competitive, the Fortnite competitive universe, the FCU. Top 3 straight going to finals. We've talked about it here and there a little bit. What does it really mean for the story? Is it good? Is it bad? Let's have all the thoughts in one space now.
They are at a disadvantage for doing better last season.
Depends. I still haven't seen proof that they won't be able to play. But
what do you mean?
You're saying they're at a disadvantage because they won't be able to play in qualifiers, right?
Yeah.
There's loopholes that I've seen that.
So what I'm saying is, like, is that necessarily true? Have we proved that? Are they actually sticking to that with the feedback that they've gotten?
Well, yeah, that's why I said, though, like, assuming that is still the case, which I don't necessarily think it will be, right?
Okay.
There is potential for change. Like, they've said openly that there is potential for change, right?
Okay, so you're assuming if that is true, then they're at a disadvantage.
They're disadvantaged because based off of the fact that if that is true, then that means they won't be able to play qualifiers from what the explainer was last season when they introduced that rule. So, yeah, I don't think that's, you know.
I somewhat disagree. Seeing the amount of work coaches are putting in right now and the level of practice you can get both off spawn right now and, well, Surge is the biggest issue, I think. But in general, like, you can practice mechanics, you can practice your chemistry in tons of different ways. You can practice off spawn. And I think the biggest thing in grand finals right now is actual good Surge tactics. And I think, honestly, if you're not playing, you're not executing, you're not practicing those, but you can plan better. I don't think it's, I'm not saying that they're at an advantage. I think they're at a slight disadvantage, but I don't think it's as big as people are saying. Because to me, like, if you're the best trio in the world, 6 weeks later, you're still going to be probably one of the best trios in the world.
I don't think it's necessarily a massive disadvantage either. But I don't think they should even be put in that scenario where they're liable to be in any sort of disadvantage, considering they've been the most successful team.
They should be at an advantage.
And to be fair, as much as, like you say, like, there are things that you can do, right? There's a lot, you know, you can do in terms of practice. You know, you could do all the server time you want in the world in CS. If you're not, you know, putting in the work in scrims and actually getting that game experience yourself, what is that?
Matches. And
actual matches, you know what I mean? So, and like we alluded to earlier, in EU, practice to emulate what you're going to get in the finals.
It's fine. That should be bleeped. It's fine. It's good.
Okay.
EU.
In EU, there's no way to emulate.
Lost his nuts.
Bro, stop. That was legendary. That was so good. That was so good. Yeah. So yeah, I don't think they should be in a position where they are even capable of being put in a disadvantage. So
I still think it's sick that there are teams that are like the big fucking guys. You know, that's fucking dope.
Yeah,
I wish
think
I
the
saw them
concept is
more.
cool.
The pivot I feel like that should have been had is they auto qual to every qual. I think that would have been sick.
To every round 4?
If you got top 3. No, every round 4.
Yeah.
Like, no matter what happens, you auto qual to every round 4 till you qualify.
Yes, sir.
And then you get to play the heats again, and you get to play the finals. Because the only issue I have with this is there's such a binary story now with these teams, just in the finals.
And I hate that we don't get to see them at all until potentially
in a new season.
Sucks.
Like, I'm like not controlling another POI again. Like, I feel the sickest workaround would have just been
the season at all.
Yeah, like, and that season will be changing over time. The loophole's different. We're not going to see them do their classics. They're not going to be able to make their plays, other than the 12 games of finals, in which 3 of them will guaranteed be bad because they will be rusty, 100%. That's my take. Anyways, ORGWATCH time. How things are looking in the scene. Have a sprinkle of this and that all over. There's probably so many things that were missed during the FNCS. But the most recent thing that we've seen is a Liquid to FaZe transfer ship, so to speak, or one contract ended.
Free agent, right?
Another one, free agent, but it was like literally the same day, which was sick. FaZe sent it, and he popped off after getting signed in the FNCS.
Man's a beast. Deserved.
Yeah,
Like,
world class player.
But how did Liquid lose him, bro? Oh my God, what does that mean for Liquid? Oh no, I'm just like,
Who do they have
thinking-
left right now?
Stretch, Fiber,
And? Saw Fiber? Really?
Fiber. They still have Fiber for sure.
Okay, cool.
Mitro.
Riverson,
Yes.
Riverson.
Mitro.
Yeah,
Mitro's 4. They have 4 other players right now.
yeah. I mean, it's outside of Fiber, it's a pretty decent roster.
He makes the maps though. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I mean,
That man's ghostwriting.
I don't think you need more than 4 players, but even if you are,
Speaking of maps, there's also the other drama, but I guess we save that for a different FNTASIA.
that's not even worth.
That's not
talking
even
about.
true.
Creative. I don't care.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, FaZe just gets dubs. Their roster is so big now, dude. It's kind of insane.
It's
what's their roster like? What's
insane.
their full roster?
You can't even go for it, bro. Fuck, it's so
Try.
hard.
There's so
Bizzle,
many on so many
Mongraal,
regions.
Scented. I'm already blanking already. Nate
King.
Hill, King,
Nate Hill. Nate Hill does still compete. Whether you think he's good or not, he does still
Yeah.
compete.
Polga. Really? Dubs, Mega.
Dubs, Mega.
Infamous.
I was about to put a finger, you know. I was about to put a finger. But Destiny Jesus. Destiny Jesus competes now.
Jesus.
He competes now.
True.
Yeah, that's
Sway.
a good team. Competitively though, like Mongraal,
I know, but
Comparatively, their roster's not
not that good.
on the same level as like Guild or NRGs or.
oh, speaking
even
of
Wave.
guild though, in general, these guys are popping, especially this FNCS. I was
Ooh.
slight doubting them coming into the last one, but in this one, bro, they're honestly just taking over.
Mhm.
And they're signing more people. Correct me if I'm wrong, Levin. But they had some recent signings.
Nas, Flick.
And that's Flick, Hen, and Tayson. That's their 4 right now.
Jesus.
Yeah. Who did
Can we go-
Nyrock sign to?
Can we go to fucking Org
Nyrock
Squad?
signed
Let's
to
go. Org
Northern.
Squad FNCS. I want that team.
Northern. That
Northern,
squad.
yeah.
I'm investing in that squad. Like, holy crap.
Ridiculous. Yeah, that's on Northern. Yeah, Guild are like, they just have like a behemoth of a roster that is like, those guys are just going to be like, they literally had first and second in FNCS. And on top of that, they have Tayson, who, even though the results not there, people are still going to say
Back-to-back,
Tayson's
man.
like,
He's still a back-to-back.
he's still arguably the best in the region. So, yeah, their roster's just silly. I think that's important. No Riley going to become legends. Props to them. I
That's
tweeted this
money,
when I said,
bro.
no, I tweeted, I said, when they lost a Nas, Flick, Hen, I thought
Yeah.
they might be in the mud. You know, are they going to be able to, sort of recruit? BL's roster is a solid team in EU. You know, they have top players on top teams.
You know what's actually sick about this whole Become Legends and Guild now becoming like the best EU rosters right now? Is that we finally have a situation like other esports, right? Where I'm thinking like LEC, where Fnatic and G2, it's like always just the exports from Fnatic
Yeah.
going to G2. Now it's fucking Become Legends. It's like, you stole our fucking roster. I think that's
No,
sick,
it's
even though
good.
it sucks for Become Legends. But I think Become Legends is doing some real stuff. Like, this might be the first like upstart successful org out of Fortnite that really, really does well, man. They've got some sick sponsors now, and they're signing banger players like Noah Riley rather than like trying to find the talent
Next
down
big
in
person.
Deeps, like, you know?
Yeah.
There's only
They,
two orgs, right, that have really done that. Like out of Fortnite, is it like XSET and then BL?
No, XSET just had a lot of investment money right off the bat. Like,
Oh, true. Okay.
Wave would be that, because Wave have their Valorant team. I don't know how the Valorant
there
team's
was
doing,
Atlantis at first, but even like Wave and Guild, like I'm still not seeing that they like are going to be like, I don't see them signing big sponsorship deals or anything like that. Like,
Who? Guild?
like Wave and Guild and like
Guild just got HyperX.
come on,
And
HyperX sponsors literally everybody.
Red Bull,
bro.
Coca-Cola, like where's the big boys, bro?
Where's Altibox? Like that's what I'm talking about. Become Legends. That's like the biggest ISP in Norway or whatever.
Well, I might not be allowed to say this, but just wait till next week.
Let's go. All right,
Let's
bet.
go. All right,
Yeah,
say
let's
less. Say less.
But But yeah, just I think when you
That's
look
the
at
first
like,
time we had a leak on FNTASIA. I'm fucking hyped. Let's go.
bro, it's sick. It's lit out here. I think if you actually look though at what like BL's done is I think they've obviously got their like Noah Riley now, who's like the sort of like big star, but they still do have some of these like players who they've sort of done like the scouting, like who aren't stars yet, but look like they will. If you ask any sort of connoisseur of EU competitive, they'll be like, oh yeah, that guy's next up. You know, the likes of Pablo Wingu, right? He's someone that like anybody who follows EU strongly will know, like he's next up. Who's playing with Steelix and Snagged, right? Like he's the kind of guy where, you know, there's a potential for him to like, so they're still sort of sticking to that strategy they had where they're like looking for talent, but clearly they're doing things right where they're able to pick up a Noah Riley, you know? So
they also lost a lot of people though, like no matter what you say. Like they lost Larice too, like nobody.
Yeah.
I don't know.
They got Seti.
Who?
Seti, Kami, and Teak. So
yeah,
like, they have solid players.
Their roster still stacked.
They all have solid players.
Stacked.
So
yeah. Cool. I think that wraps up everything we wanted to talk about, though, in general.
Let's go.
For the day, we got through it.
That was a sick episode. I have good news, guys. I have good news. I checked my settings, and because I made a new scene collection, and I had to re-add because I needed to put the graphics, I had to re-add my audio sources. So
you have the
they're
full
going
episode.
to all tracks. We have the full episode on VOD.
Let's go. Woo! I saw you say yes, so I was like,
so
definitely.
I checked that shit. I'm like, yes. Because there's one guy in chat who said it's still in. I'm like, oh, yes, let's go. We had hope, and it worked. So, cool. GG's. Wrap it up.
GG's.
Outro.
Yeah.
Do something funny.
Guys, that was the episode. Kind of crazy. Talked about a lot of stuff. New seasons in the works. New players in the works. Top 3 in the works. And we're done with the works. So you know how it goes. You can catch this episode on the FNTASIA YouTube channel, hopefully, and many other platforms as well, such as Spotify and Stitcher. This has been a cool ass episode. I'm gonna leave you guys both with one-liner each. Levin, actually, will flip up the works. Levin, you start first. One-liner, go.
Stop asking me where FNTASIA is. Ask Shyo instead.
Sheesh. Okay, Bala. I'm gonna regret this. Bala, one-liner, go.
I'm gonna be live after this VCT watch party. Valorant all the way. Let's go.
Okay. All right. That's it. Have a good one, guys. And as usual, make sure you peace. End the stream.